no time.
Lost. Times. Darkness. Tears.
The time is
13
o'clock.
Okay, here we are finally. God damn it. I know it was only like 5 or 6 minutes, but it seems like forever because I had to like restart everything.
Yeah, I don't know what is up with this.
I feel like the first 5 or 10 minutes of our every single live stream is just us going like, what the fuck is going on with this shit?
Complaining about that fucking
Complaining
laptop.
about this fucking laptop.
And it's new.
Yeah,
It's just not up
it's
to the
pretty
task.
new. I mean, there's so my settings are still okay with the Yeti.
All right, make sure volume good. Volume good, everybody.
Yeah, I think it should be
Okay.
all right. It should be all right.
Bought a new microphone boom for the damn.
So it wouldn't just sit
Yeah,
just
I'm
sit
sick
there.
of that shit sitting there.
He wants it to be
I
over.
want it to be up above us.
So we have like a boom mic come in there like an Ed Wood movie. That'll be neat.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with this shit.
I don't know.
It's gonna be a good show tonight, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about this?
No,
serial
nothing
killer?
about this. I just know that it's about a Florida man.
Yeah, this is
I know how them Florida men are. I'm a Florida man.
even though he is originally from Louisiana, so
that's even worse.
That's what I mean. He's originally from Louisiana, and it's weird because I feel like I kind of have a little bit of a personal connection to this particular case because it happened in 1990, like the autumn after I graduated from high school, and a bunch of my friends that graduated with me went to the University of Florida. And so they were like worried about it. A lot of them like came home like when this shit was going on because it was at the University of Florida campus.
They're all piling in right now.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. What were we saying about the university campus?
Yeah, so a bunch of my friends had gone there and they were about to start the semester when this shit started happening. And a lot of them either were like freaking out or they came home, like until they caught the dude, which took a little while. But the weird thing about it is I feel like he's one of the lesser known serial killers. This is like so fucked up to say. But he's like one of the lesser known serial killers, even though the shit he did was like fucking atrocious. It was like he did like some Ted Bundy shit.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, look forward to it. Look forward to hearing it.
In a weird way,
Looking
sure.
forward to hearing it.
It's so fucked up. And it's fucked up too because, spoiler alert, for a long time there was one guy that was a suspect. And man, I remember it too. That bitch's face was all over the fucking news and everything like that. And it turned out he didn't do it. Like, he wasn't a fantastic person, but he wasn't a murderer.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so he kind of got saddled with that shit, like, even after they caught the real guy. So that was like kind of a shitter. Yeah, kind of a shitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a lot of notes, okay.
But, I think I have about an hour and a half worth of notes, but knowing how this shit goes, it'll probably be like twice as long as that.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
No, you don't have to. It won't be that bad.
All right. Let's see who we got with us. They're still coming in.
At least we're only doing one case.
Yeah.
I wanted to I'm glad everybody kind of picked this one because I've been wanting to do this case for a long time because I said I feel like a lot of people don't know about this guy. Yeah. And this is somebody that like I remember like calling my friends and being like, holy shit, like, are you coming home? Like, what the fuck? Because everybody's getting murdered up there. And, and it was scary shit. Like I said, it was like, pretty much like the worst serial killer shit you can imagine. Like somebody just breaking into your house and killing you at fucking random and fucking mutilating you and all doing all kind of horrible shit. And it's like, just, bleh.
No need for me to. Said he just made it. He's a little bit high on mushrooms.
That's okay.
He's rested. It's all right. Mushrooms, yeah. You just colors, man. Colors and rainbows and everything's kind of bleeding. Yeah.
That's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
We'll probably be like pretty trashed by the end of this.
Yeah. David Jones wanted to ask me something about advice about women. He wanted advice on women and some ex that's kind of trying to...
A flirty ex that still wants the D.
Trying to get some dick off of him. I don't really know what kind of advice I could give you other than like, make sure you take a shower.
Thank you, Tom. You're so helpful.
Yeah. Pull the foreskin back clean. If you're uncut. Fucking put a I don't have to worry about that. I'm cut. So I'm civilized. The wear a condom. Mango Badger, having a conversation with him. We're trading pictures of a girlfriend's boobs.
Yeah, he was telling me about that right before the show
I seen a
started.
bunch of pictures of James' boobs. They had clothes on them.
They were like naked.
Yeah, you know.
So I'm sitting there going, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, and I'm just like, well what, you know. He's like, yeah, my girlfriend's got good boobs too. So where are they? You know, cough it up. oh well, hold on. I gotta find them. You know, I have just pictures ready, loaded in the chamber, ready to fire. I got 30 photographs in the magazine, ready to fire.
Just in case anyone asks.
Any case you got, man, you're shooting them out, man. Bam, pictures of boobs. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
And see, we got Brittany in here. Brittany's in here. She's not saying anything rude yet. She usually says something crazy about me. Tammy says, well, it wouldn't be a show if Tom kept his mouth shut.
Exactly.
I'm the clown of the show.
Yep. That's another wig you should get.
Yeah, clown wig.
A red clown wig. Or a rainbow one would be good,
when I get really
too.
fucked up, I'll just put a damn clown wig on. Big old.
You probably would. And a nose. You need the nose.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would like to take this opportunity, if you guys haven't seen it. There's a really good horror movie. I think it came out in 2014, 2015, something like that. And it's just called Clown. Mm-hmm. And it's about, I mean, I know there's a lot of killer clown movies and like lame, but this one was actually really good. It was about a dude who dressed up as a clown for his son's birthday party. And it turned out that the clown suit that he found was the skin of a cloyne, which is like a clown demon.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
And he couldn't take it off. And then he started eating children. Yeah, it was fantastic. Yeah. And so yucky. I loved it. Make Tom up as Gacy. Yeah, sure. Why not? Yep. I know. I'm just. When that laptop crashed, literally the laptop crashed when I had the little starting soon video on. Yeah. And as soon as I clicked on the intro video, it went doop, and it just froze up. And I was like, seriously? It knows I'm going on vacation, and it's just kind of like, here's one little pain in the ass thing to.
David was saying that the large image of the fucking Pliskin is a cool shirt. Yeah, these are available now.
Well, and David June, on the last stream, I seem to remember that Mr. Victor Garcia bought you a shirt.
Yeah, didn't he?
I thought he did, yeah.
Maybe not, I don't know.
And I wrote the name down, but it's like you never got to me with your address and what shirt you wanted and shit like that. We have that one. We have the what do you call it? The
got a Ouija board one.
We got the Ouija board one. We got the clock one. We got the Tyrell one.
That's the Tyrell More Human Than Human.
Yeah,
the Genetic Replicants shirt.
We got
the new 13 o'clock logo shirt. It's good too.
We
guys haven't seen it yet.
We got to make all those. I mean, if you're on Patreon, I sent you, I emailed you pictures of all of them so you could pick which one you wanted. But we got to print them tomorrow and mail them. I have all the envelopes made out. I have all the shit,
Brittany wants a mason jar with 13 o'clock on it. We've got one, but it's a little one. We didn't really make it. We made it, but
it's on Zazzle. Yeah.
And it's not big enough.
Well, they have a bigger one on there.
They do?
I think that's just like the regular one. But you got to look at the size because there's a couple different size ones. Because I think the one I bought, I wasn't really thinking about it. And I was just kind of like, oh, that's little.
You'd want to get the big one then. It's professionally done. Jenny designed it and they execute it. They make them. We do get a commission off of them. So we do make
money just not much, but just like a little bit. I've got some shit on there. And like I said, one of our patrons who was in Norway actually requested one of the Zazzle shirts. So I just drop shipped her one. That was kind of easier anyway. So I don't have to go to the post office and stand in line. Because I like to just use the self-serve machine. So I don't have to deal with anybody. Yeah. I will say too, our one shout out this week is that we have a new patron, Trey. And Trey has actually been a friend of the show for a long time, always comments on all our Facebook posts and stuff like that. And he was like, I finally became a patron. So welcome, Trey. Very nice to have you join our Patreon family. I know that sounded really, really queer.
Yeah, Trace is saying that shirt is the one. Yeah, I have two versions. A smaller one actually looks really good on a smaller frame person. But I sent one out in triple extra large one time or double XL, 2XL, 3XL and double XL. That's what you call it. And that image just did not fill that shirt up. It didn't look good. So I made a bigger version for bigger shirts, but it looks good on smaller and medium shirts too. This is a medium shirt.
Yeah, because I figured,
Okay.
I mean, I don't even remember why we made the one small, why we made it smaller to start with. I
It
don't,
was
maybe,
just, that's what I wanted.
oh, you wanted it smaller? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was sitting there going, well, the screen is like 10
Yeah.
by 14 or 8 by something. I don't remember how big the screen is.
It's the perfect size for
Yeah.
for a medium shirt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it does look nice bigger.
It
like that.
looks nice bigger. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to make myself one of the Ouija board ones because I really like how that one came out. I was very proud of myself when I decided that. Because it takes me forever. For some reason, when I'm doing graphic design for other people, it's not that much of a hardship because I can usually think of something right away. But when I'm making something for us, like for our show,
Yeah.
like shirt designs and stuff, it takes me forever. Like I can't ever think of anything good. And I always do like a million different designs. And I'm like, oh, I don't like that one. Oh, I don't like that one. I'm just like really picky when it comes to my own shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, David. I think old boy bought you a shirt. And,
Yeah, Victor did.
Yeah, and I'll send you, if you want, I'll send you another one with the big image on it.
The biggin.
The big one, yeah. I think it was 3XL. He was the one that got the 3XL. I think I
Yeah.
have one of those left, don't I?
You should.
Okay.
Like I said, I ordered like
All right.
$250 worth
Yeah.
of shirts of all various sizes.
Yeah.
Every now and then, I just have to buy another one if we run out. But
Yeah, but if you can send us your address, I'll send you another one.
yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like I said, I got all the envelopes done, and
No-
I wanted everything. I wanted to mail them all out tomorrow, like before I go on vacation.
No
so
need for
I'm
me
not-
to. It says check your Patreon message. after
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
What is that about?
That's about the laptop.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. This is a brand new laptop, but it's just not really up to the task for some reason.
Yeah, we just bought this one at like fucking Target because I needed
Yeah.
another one, and like
Wasn't the one we wanted. There was another one, but they were sold out.
yeah.
So we had to move down a rung, and it's just not up to the fucking. It was in the middle of that damn pandemic, and it was hard to get computers at that time. We
Well,
just
at
need
least
to-
there was a ton of them at Best Buy, but it's like they didn't really have the one I wanted there either.
Yeah.
Like they had like a bunch of really expensive ones, but then a lot of the cheap ones didn't have what I wanted, and then the mid-price ones were kind of like sold out. Like the pickings were kind of slim.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Roboto says vacation where to? I'm just going to St. Augustine, Florida for a few days.
Yeah.
Gonna chill out. Gonna go to the alligator farm. Gonna go to all the museums, see all the pirates and the torture museum and all that kind of stuff. Cause you know how I do. Look at the cemeteries and the fort. All that.
I'm gonna
neat-
fresh this drink up. The balance isn't right.
Okay.
It tastes good.
Go to the fudge shop and the bakery. Gain 30 fucking pounds probably because there's like a really lot of good food there. There's a bakery there where they get up every morning. It's like you have to get there really, really early if you want like all the fresh loaves because they come in the morning. They only make so many loaves, and if they're sold, they're usually sold out by like 8 or 9 in the morning. And they're just like, yep, too bad, so sad. Then they close. So so they have that, and like I said, there's a couple shops there too that make all their candy from scratch. Then you can go in there and there's like big vats of chocolate, and you can buy the fudge in big boxes. But that was like my favorite thing to do, you know what I mean? Because I was like, when I was a little kid, I was like a little dessert whore. And so like when we go to St. Augustine, my most exciting thing was like, let's go to the fudge shop and we'll get like this big fucking thing of like maple white chocolate fudge or something like that. And it's like fucking a pound of the shit. Yeah.
has appeared.
Oh, she has?
Yeah.
Yeah, we couldn't find her for like a long time. We're looking
Yeah.
all over the house going, Pookie, where is she? I knew she wasn't out on the porch or nothing. Where was she? I
I don't
wonder.
know. She just appeared in the middle of the
She
kitchen.
has like some kind of weird hiding place in this shit, and I don't really know where it could
She
be.
must be going underneath the couch.
Can she fit under the couch?
No, maybe.
If she like flattens herself
I
out,
guess so.
maybe.
I guess so.
The one time we have all those kind of things that are up on the wall, like all those little.
Yeah.
Well, hey Pookie, we were just talking about you. She's like, I know, that's why I came. And that's like, there's all these little things they can jump on, like little shelves and whatnot. And then there's this little thing that's kind of like, what would you call it? It's like a little capsule kind of,
Yeah.
and it has a hole in the top, and they can get in there, and you can't see them because they can like hide in there. Now, a couple times when we couldn't find her, we found her in there, but today we didn't find her because if you knock on it, like her little head will pop up. Yeah, Just Pepper says cats can fit under anything. She might be able to fit under the couch. I mean, she probably could, I would imagine.
Haven't seen Sandra. Sandra hasn't showed up. Haven't seen T either. We have to start without him. Gonna have to start without him.
Yeah. Angus says fudge is cool. Tom Cruise loves fudge.
Yeah. Haven't seen Soph either. Soph's probably hanging out with her boyfriend.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, that's right. David says, where's Teal and Sophie? I don't know.
Yeah, that's what we were just
I don't
wondering.
know. Just talking about that.
Well, it's Friday night,
Yeah.
so not everybody's gonna be able to like fucking hang out and talk about serial killers like we do on Friday night.
Ask me how the beer is. I don't drink beer.
Well,
Very rarely. Very rarely.
Yeah, we're not real big beer drinkers. Pretty much the only time we drink beer is like if we're at a place that does have a liquor license.
Yeah.
And then I'll get like a coffee ale or vanilla stout or something like that. But I don't really like all this. I like.
Look at this shit.
What's she?
Look behind her. Look behind her.
What's she doing?
You having fun? You having fun? She's in the bag.
You guys, I have my bag that I'm gonna take to start packing it tomorrow, so it's all empty. I think all it's in there is an umbrella. Yeah. And I just turned around and Pookie's like sitting and
sitting
like
there with her head popping up to the top of it. Like, hey, okay, she's got bored with that, huh?
Oh my god.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna tell you I saw Mr. McGuire today too.
Yeah.
He's been, you know what he does now? He jumps up on the bench and sits next to me. So he'll just sit there next to me on the bus. It looks like he's like on the bench. It looks like he's waiting for a bus. That's what I was gonna say. So it looks like we're both sitting there waiting for a bus. Him and the fucking
waiting for you to show up.
Well, yeah. Every time I walk up, he's like me. Because I bring him food, I guess.
Tammy says Tila still might be working.
Yeah,
She's
maybe.
Probably working.
Super Chad. Caught your video on the Caught your video on the Texas killing fields this week. New sub. Well, hey, welcome, Super Chad.
All right, Mango, I'm seeing them, bro.
Are you guys sending boob pictures again, back and forth?
I'm not gonna show them.
Well, yeah, that's not cool.
Is that both her? It looks like it.
In context of boobs, that sounds like a really funny thing. Are those both her boobs, or is that one boob next to another boob? Don't show them like other people's. Oh, okay, I gotcha.
Yeah. There he is.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yep.
Oh, shit. Serial killer and cat chat. That's what this is. Pookie is going on vacation. She's not, though. She's staying here. But she was trying to go on vacation. She's like, Mommy, I want to go with you in the bag. I'll have to sneak her into the Airbnb.
What are you doing?
I don't think pets are allowed. Oh, my God. Victor says, I'm off Friday to Sunday now, so I'll be watching this show off the clock. Yeah, God damn, kitty.
Jesus.
She's like, pay attention to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we recorded like a bunch of shows for next week, and I've already uploaded a bunch of them, and so you should be able to see them at about the same times as you would normally see them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, and if you're a patron, you'll be able to see them early and all that other kind of stuff. I think I will have to take my laptop with me, but I think the only thing I'll have to do is like just click the videos over to public on YouTube, like on the day, and then upload the file for the audio version of the podcast. But that won't take very long, and I'll only have to do that like once a day. So I was going to take my laptop with me anyway. Camp Guy says there is a cat cafe in my town. There is one in St. Augustine too, and I wrote it down because I definitely want to go there. It's you might have to like make an appointment, but maybe not. They said you don't have to, but you can go in this you can go in the little cat lounge, and you get like it's like $10, and you go in there for an hour, and you can have like cocktails and hang out with all the kitties and stuff. It looks adorable from the pictures. I can't remember what it's called. Whisker something or other. I don't know. But it looks really cool. I might try to do that. That was one of the places that I wrote down that I wanted to see. Why am I coughing? Brittany says, watch the Tusk movie review and Sixth Sense. Now I need to rewatch both. Yeah. Sexual problems.
Actually, I was watching, what was it called? Unbreakable.
Yeah.
I watched Unbreakable. And I got Unbreakable and have Glass. I don't have Shattered. It didn't show up yet.
Split.
Or Split, excuse me. Yeah. I call it Shattered every time.
Yeah, you do.
It's not in yet. It might be here today.
Yeah, did you check the mail?
Yeah, I checked the mailbox. It wasn't in there.
Oh, okay. Well,
that's something that they would deliver to the door.
All right. Maybe I'll get it tomorrow.
Yeah.
I was supposed to get that other shirt today, too, but I guess it didn't show up. Unless it shows up later.
I can check the front door.
I mean...
It might be sitting up there.
Because they don't ring the doorbell or nothing. They just leave shit. They just leave shit on the porch. That was so funny. I couldn't believe she jumped in that fucking bag. My cat will jump into any vehicle in our driveway if you leave the door open. She travels well. Yeah. I don't know. I thought about, because Tom's like, why don't you take Pookie with you? And I was just kind of like, yeah, no. It's like the Airbnb I got. Like, they don't allow pets. And I'm like, that would probably just stress her out. This is her house and she loves it here. So if I had to take her somewhere else, she'd probably freak. Like the couple times that we had to put her in a cat carrier to like take her to the vet or get fixed or whatever, she was wigging out the whole time. She was just up there yelling. Poor Pookie. Oh man.
No, there was nothing up there.
Nothing up there?
No.
Okay. Ugh. Yeah. Victor says, remember when that lady pitched her cat cafe idea on Shark Tank like 10 years ago and everyone thought she was nuts? I hope she's a millionaire now. Yeah, there's the cat cafes everywhere. It's a great idea. I mean, as long as you keep the place clean. I don't think you'd want a dog cafe because that's kind of like they'd probably poop everywhere, but...
The Japanese have one with raccoons.
Oh, now see, that'd be neat too.
Yeah. Somebody yesterday was talking about how mean raccoons are. They're not that mean.
Well, I guess it
They're not
depends
that
on the raccoon.
It depends on the raccoon. But Beijing's been out on the back porch, and like 3 of them just ran up, and she said, "Hey, how you doing?" And cats love raccoons. You'd think that there'd be some kind of conflict, but no, cats love raccoons, and raccoons like them. There's lots of videos of raccoons and cats, domestic cats, just hanging out. You just don't want to grab a raccoon. You'd probably get hurt.
Well, that's kind of true of any animal.
Yeah, I've had them hiss at me before. I jumped into a dumpster one time that was empty, but the raccoon couldn't get out, you know?
Yeah.
So I jumped in there to get the raccoon out and put a cardboard box in the corner, and chased him into the box and shut it, and then handed it out to the guys that were outside, and they let the raccoon out.
Yeah.
That was the way to do it. But he was hissing. But he was scared.
Well, yeah, he was probably just afraid.
Yeah.
He wasn't mean.
They'll run, yeah.
Thank you. No need for me to. Tom and Jenny look like Nicolas Cage's The Color Out of Space. Yeah, we always kind of look like that. All of those pretty lights in the background.
Oh, is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
Ooh. I know. I really like the way this. I have this room like this all the time, whether we're recording or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
See, that's what I thought. Tammy says maybe cats think raccoons are just funny looking cats. I think I think they do. I mean, for sure, Beijing is just kind of like, ooh, look at that pretty kitty with the big stripy tail.
Beijing, it was love.
And she started like wow. She's following him around.
Yeah.
We don't see them all that often. But like I said, I think I've mentioned this before, but there used to be a little family of raccoons that lived in the parking lot where I worked. Because there was a girl that would give them pizza crusts. Because she didn't eat pizza crust. So she would like put them in a bag and then she would bring them out for the raccoons. So the raccoons would just, every time they saw somebody coming at them with a plastic bag, they put their little hands out like, hey, pizza crusts, yay. All right. Somebody just saw a Tic Tac UFO. All right. Yeah, see, I think the cat cafes, I don't think the animals are behind plexiglass or anything like that. I think they're just wandering around.
Yeah, they wander around.
They're just wandering around.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm going to try and go to the one in St. Augustine because it looks super cute. But we'll see. Because like I said, I love the kitties. I love the kitties. I don't know. I'm not casting aspersions on why couldn't there be a dog cafe. I'm sure there's a dog cafe too. I'm just saying dogs are a little harder to... It'd be a little harder to keep clean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because dogs will just kind of poop anywhere. Cats usually, they got to poop in a specific place. And they're not as stinky. Cats aren't as stinky as dogs. At least in my experience. Okay, so are we ready to like start talking about fucking serial killers now?
Yeah, go for it.
Mr. Robota says, Jen, you could always say your cat's an emotional support animal on the airplane. Yeah. I could do that. She is an emotional support animal. All right. So are you like distracted by boobs or what?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm just waiting for...
He's just over there like checking out of the show.
No, I'm
like,
talking.
oh, boobs. Oh, okay.
Talking.
Okay. Yeah, also cats don't bark. Good point. Cats bring us presents because they think we're dumb kittens that don't know how to hunt. That's true. And if you're Beijing, you bring us little stuffed animals and then cry over them because she's super weird. All right. So let's talk about this motherfucker. And like I said, it blows my mind that this dude isn't better known because as I said, they know he killed the 5 people in Gainesville. They think allegedly he killed 3 other people in Shreveport, Louisiana. And the way he killed them was like super, super grisly. It was like super brutal, you know, mutilations, rape, everything. And he's just really not as well known as Ted Bundy. And I'm really not sure why that is, because there's not a lot of difference. He's that same type of dude. You know what I mean? Not as, maybe not as, because you know how Ted Bundy had that kind of fake charm thing, and you know, he had like a job and a girlfriend and shit like that. Danny Rolling, not so much. He was more of like a drifter type of guy.
Yeah,
but
you could tell he looked sketchy from the photos I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't look like a bum, but
he was in custody in the photos that I saw, so I don't know what he looked like just walking around. But no, fucking Bundy was the fucking Hugh Hefner of serial killers.
Yeah,
it doesn't get any better in terms of physicality and charm, I guess. So you can't get any better than that. Don't expect much of these dudes. You're grading them on a curve.
That's very, very true.
Yeah, most of them fucking losers.
Well, they have to be. Why would they be doing this? Why would they be doing this shit if they weren't? So, as I mentioned, Mango says, never heard of this guy. Looking forward to finding out more if that sounds right. Yeah. So, this guy, all right, so this happened back in 1990. Like I said, now, I had just graduated high school in, you know, May or June of 1990. And several of my friends were going to the University of Florida, which is in Gainesville. Now, see, that's another way that it's like Ted Bundy, because Ted Bundy killed some people at Florida State, which is in Tallahassee. But this one happened at University of Florida. So I knew like a bunch of people that were going there. Now, this happened in like late August. So a lot of the students had gone to the campus and were just like moving into their apartments, but classes hadn't started yet. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it was that kind of situation. So it's 4:00 in the afternoon. Sunday, August 26, 1990. So the police officer, Ray Barber, it's the end of his shift. He's about to go home. And then he gets a call on his radio. Now, at first, they don't think anything about it. The call was just a noise complaint, like somebody is blasting music from their apartment really loud. So he's like, well, you know, obviously, like all the college students just got here. They're setting up their apartments. Everybody's partying because classes are going to start, blah, blah, blah. So nobody thinks anything about it. So he's on his way there. Then he gets another message. And this message was also not all that weird. It was just a regular, just citizen assist or whatever. So he's like, okay, well, I'm on my way home, but I'll stop and check it out. And would probably regret that for the rest of his fucking life, I imagine. So the call had come from Williamsburg Village Apartments. Now he gets there and the maintenance man was the guy that had called him, like the apartment manager, like the maintenance guy. So the maintenance man says, this girl's parents are here. You know, this student that lives in this apartment building. The parents are here because they, want me to open her apartment up because they've been calling her for the last couple of days and she hasn't been answering her phone and they're really, really worried about it. And he's like, well, I didn't know if something was wrong and I didn't want to get in trouble. So I thought I'd call you guys to open the apartment because I don't want to take responsibility for opening the apartment if there's something wrong in there. Now, the police officer at first isn't worried. He's just kind of like, oh, you know, teenagers, they do that kind of shit all the time. You know, they forget to call their parents. They do this and that and the other thing. And then they're totally fine. But the problem was the parents, whose name were Frank and Patricia Powell, they said, you know, our daughter, whose name was Christina, she was 17 years old. They're like, she knew that we were driving over today, like from Jacksonville. And when we asked around, nobody had seen her since Friday morning. And it is now Sunday afternoon, like late afternoon. So they became very concerned. And then they said, well, we also asked around, and it turns out that her roommate, whose name was Sonia Larson, who was also 17 years old, also had not been heard from for a day or two. Like, and her mom had already like become worried and like started to complain because she was supposed to call and she didn't. So at this point, they call in a bunch of backup because they think probably something's the matter. And then the media turns up. They go into the apartment and find, not surprisingly, these two 17-year-old girls have been horribly, horribly murdered. One of them has been raped. And they're both pretty much left. It looked like, I think what he did was he attacked them when they were sleeping. You know what I mean? He either came in like through an unlocked door, or he would like pry the door open like with a crowbar or like a screwdriver or something. And then he would attack them while they're sleeping. One of the girls had been raped, and it looked as though he had tried to kind of clean up, like, this is gross, but like he tried to like clean out like semen and stuff like that, because between the legs of one of the victims, they found like a bottle of dishwashing liquid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I guess he tried to like fucking, I don't know what the fuck he was trying to do.
Well, it's obvious what he's trying to do.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just kind of like fucking, that's disgusting.
Trying to decontaminate the area there to evade identification.
Yeah.
Guys have done it before. Law enforcement have done it. Law enforcement have found guys that have tried to do that before. Bleach.
Yeah.
Yeah, shoot bleach inside there and then all over. And in one case that I heard about, dude did that to her, and it had spilled all over, and she survived. He didn't know it, but she was awake, or she was alive, and it burnt her up. And
God damn it.
Unfortunately, it was a really good-looking little black girl, who was probably about 16 or 17, and the scars on her skin, it showed up. You know what I mean? It basically,
oh, man.
She had patches of pink and white. All over. You could see where all the fucking, it was nasty. You know what I mean? Felt really bad for her. She was on a program about that offender, and she was just scarred up all over. She couldn't fuck with guys anymore or anything like that.
Well, shit, can you blame her?
Yeah, and he had poured it inside her.
God.
So there's no telling, what it did to her in the inside. Fucking terrible. Yeah.
I mean,
he was a serial rapist. But I don't remember if he killed anybody, but he thought he killed her. But she wasn't. She was alive. She woke up a long time later. She'd been unconscious because he beat her so badly.
Can you imagine?
He beat her into a coma, if I remember correctly. And they didn't really find her, until 6-7 hours later. And that fucking bleach had just eaten her up. Chemical burns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, shit like this, man, it's just fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
And like I said, in this case in particular, this is exactly and yes, this type of serial killing is very rare, where someone just random motherfucker breaks into your apartment with a fucking screwdriver while you're sleeping and then starts raping and stabbing you. But I mean, it does happen. And the fact, like I said, and I remember when this happened because I had just graduated high school. It was the summer after. I knew a bunch of people that had gone there, and it was all over the fucking news. You know what I mean? Because like I said, I'm from Central Florida, and a lot of people here knew, people that went to school there, because that's kind of the main big college in Central Florida. So, I mean, it was like all over the fucking news. It was like a huge deal. So, yeah, so they kept a lot of the real like nasty shit away from the media to start with, but they basically came out and they said, yeah, like, the two women were murdered. Somebody forced their way into their apartment sometime between 11:30 p.m. August 23rd and 4 p.m. August 26th, because like I said, they had been seen a few days before, but that was the last time.
They're in there reacting to that bleach story. Yeah, it's bad. It's been a long time. That was early 90s, I think, when I heard that one. That was like something that was off of Geraldo or something, or maybe it was America's Most Wanted. It's been a long time. But, yeah, it was fucking nasty. She was actually kind of a good girl, and the dude that did it was from the hood. And she was like what you would call today, what you'd call like a black Barbie. She was like really pretty, black chick. He targeted her because of that. She was only like 18 or 19. He just fucking ruined her life, man. Fucking terrible. And had it been on a white girl, it would have been bad too, but the scars wouldn't have showed up as much. It was just that dark black skin with those big patches of fucking white scar tissue all over. It's fucking real sad.
Yeah,
real
like
sad.
That's fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
Prepper POV says, has there ever been a serial killer who was killed by a victim? Somebody mentioned
Yeah.
the Candyman. That's Dean Coral. I don't know. Well,
That wasn't really a victim.
that wasn't a victim. That was
More like
it was a
an
teenager
accomplice.
that was like an accomplice.
Yeah.
But
It went too far, and he was going to kill a girl. And yeah, the accomplice went, nah, fuck this, you got to go.
and the accomplice killed
And the
him.
accomplice killed him.
But
Shot
the
him right in
accomplice was like a teenage kid. It
Teenage
wasn't.
boy, yeah. And he did a bunch of time because he was selling those teenage boys to him.
Yeah.
And in a way, I think a modern court wouldn't have done that to him. He was under the influence of an older dude who was fucking terrifying. He didn't have a choice, the accomplice. It was.
That's kind of what I'm leaning. So I mean,
his mind was all fucked up.
But yeah, I mean, he was groomed from a pretty young age.
Yeah.
So I'm not excusing what he did. Obviously, we
Yeah,
did a
they
show
gave him
about
life
that a
in
while
prison.
back.
He didn't deserve that. He should have gone to an institution that had helped him out and fucking try to deprogram him. He wasn't an evil person per se. He was just brainwashed.
Yeah.
And
he did take the motherfucker out.
Yeah,
So that's
Carl,
gonna count for something.
yeah, Dean Carl started fucking getting ready to torture a girl, which he normally didn't. He was homosexual. He normally tortured boys. And the accomplice clicked and fucking grabbed fucking Dean's .22 revolver and shot him right through the head, which took him out. And then the story came out. He let the victims go.
Yeah.
But no, they gave that guy. Yeah, he was an accomplice, but he was under duress. I mean, the same thing can happen to a woman. There were a lot of women who were partners to these serial killers. They didn't have a choice. They had
It's
to
like,
go
what
along
else
with
are you gonna do?
He'd have killed him.
Yeah, you're just gonna get
It was
killed.
the same thing with that guy, and he had sucked him into it to where he couldn't back out. He felt the guilt because he'd been involved in it from an early age.
Yeah.
So it wasn't quite the same thing.
True.
As an adult getting involved in it.
Yeah. All right. So basically, like I said, now at this stage, the cops, they don't know it's a serial killer yet because this is the first one that's happened. It's a double homicide. They kept a lot of the details from the media. They basically just said, it's two young girls. They were murdered. And they wouldn't even say who they were at first. But I guess that some people that lived in the apartment complex and some people around knew who they were. So, the rumors started going around. They said that both of the girls were freshmen. They had just arrived, obviously, because they were 17. So they had just graduated high school the previous spring. They said one was from Palm Beach, Florida, and the other one was from Jacksonville. Although no one knew them very well because they had just arrived. Now, the cops were asking around to see if anybody had heard anything unusual. And all that the neighbors could think of, they said, well, we heard somebody showering in there, and they heard somebody playing music really loud, like on Friday morning. It was George Michael, if you wanted to know. And then he said he heard a lot of loud banging on the walls, but he just presumed that, the girls had just moved in, so they were just hanging pictures or moving furniture or whatever. So he didn't think anything about it. Now, this is fucking scary too. So this is happening, all the cops are still there. It's still a fucking crime scene, shit like that. And then this other girl, walks up to the building. She had been out of town, right? So she walks up to the building because she lives in this building. And she goes to the door, and one of the cops, pulls her aside, and she's like, who are you? And she says, my name is Elsa Strepp. And it turns out she was their other roommate, right? And so they told her, they said, hey, both your roommates have been brutally murdered. And she was just I mean, can you imagine what that would be like just to come home hey, I was away.
Got lucky not to
I
be
was
there.
away all weekend. Yeah, that's probably what she thought, but holy shit. Oh my God, I can't imagine. Just coming up and seeing a bunch of cops there and yeah, both your roommates are dead, and weren't you glad you weren't home? It's that's really fucked up. Really fucked up. So, all right. Basically, so they're doing their regular cop shit. Even though the cops had kept the worst of the mutilations out of the media and away from the public, rumors still started going around anyway, that that at least one of the victims, like I said, one of them had been raped. I think Christina Powell was the one that was raped. And I'm pretty sure that there had been some breast mutilation. which would make sense because there was that on some of the later ones as well. So, so those kind of rumors were kind of going around, and everyone was understandably kind of freaking out. Now, as if this shit wasn't horrible enough, they were just they were still like at the Williamsburg apartments and still kind of like packing up all this crime scene. And then they get called to another crime scene. Now, this ended up happening because I guess like Barber, the officer before, like his wife was also an officer, and her name was Gail Barber. And she said, okay, so there was this young woman, and her name was Krista Hoyt, and she was 18, and she worked the late shift as a records clerk at the Alachua County Sheriff's Office. And Gail Barber, the cop, she was like, we got really worried because Krista Hoyt didn't show up for work, and we kept trying to call her, and there's no answer on her phone. Now, as I said, at this stage, yes, there's a double homicide, but no one's thinking serial killer yet. They just think maybe it's some random, maybe it's somebody that knew him or some shit like that. So no one's thinking these two things are connected. Not yet, anyway. So Gail is kind of like, okay, well, we're kind of worried about it. We've been calling Krista. No one's answering the phone. So they sent a couple officers. So she and another officer went over there to Krista's apartment and knocked on the door. And they're like, oh, well, maybe she left for work already. It wasn't that late. It was only like half hour after the start of her shift or whatever. So they're like, okay, it's probably fine. But then they turn around and they saw her car was still in the parking lot. So at this point, they start knocking again. They try on the door. The door is locked. The apartment manager comes out, and the apartment manager and the two cops go around to the back of the apartment building. Now, immediately, the apartment manager knows that something is the matter because the chain link fence around the back of the property looks like somebody has stepped on the top of it, like while they were climbing over, and like the gate was kind of fucked up. So it looked like somebody had tried to bust in, and it wasn't like that earlier. So basically the cops are like, okay, well, shit, this is not looking too good. So they send the apartment manager around to the front. No one's in the yards. They tried the sliding glass door, which was also locked. But then one of the cops noticed that there were some kind of like Venetian blinds or like bamboo shades over the door, the sliding glass door, and they didn't go all the way down. So one of the officers bends down and puts the flashlight like underneath, like looking into the apartment. At which point they see what appears to be a naked woman sitting on the edge of the bed, bent over at the waist, and there was a little pool of blood at the feet. The feet still had shoes and socks on them, but the rest of the body was naked. Now, while they went like this and kind of scrolled up, this naked body that was sitting on the end of the bed didn't have a head.
Damn.
Can you imagine looking into... It's like, I know you're a cop and you see horrible shit all the time.
Head wasn't at the scene?
Yeah, it was.
It was at the scene? Okay.
This is what I was talking about when I was talking about like Ted Bundy shit.
Yeah, Ted would have taken it though.
Well, yeah. So at this point, they're like, holy fucking shit. Because like I said, I watched a bunch of documentaries about this, and a lot of the cops were just kind of like, we had never seen anything like this before. I mean, Gainesville is like a pretty safe, and ironically, I was reading something that, ironically, in 1990, when these crimes happened, Money Magazine named Gainesville, Florida, the 13th best place to live in the United States.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to just mention real quick. I lived in Florida for how long? More than 10 years now, huh?
12
years?
10, 11, 12 years, something like
that. I've been all over the world. This place is fucking calm and safe, especially for a place that's so...
Well, it depends where you are. Just like everywhere else.
Let me finish. It's calm and safe, especially for a place that is in the South, and it's built up like this, and it's made up of people that come from all over the United States and the world. Miami was kind of like one of the main point of entries for the drug trade. It's built on a fucking it's built on a fucking the skyline was built on a sea of cocaine, going back to the Miami Vice era. But still, it was relatively safe there. It still kind of is. You do have a couple of neighborhoods that you don't really want to fuck around with too much. But even compared to, say, like Sao Paulo, Brazil, or Colombia, it's still nothing. So shit like this, even though you hear these Florida man stories, one of the reasons why Florida man stories happen is you hear about them because they stand out. They're fucking weird. You do have some weird motherfuckers here. You do.
Well, because we kind of get everybody, like all the weirdos from everywhere, like, kind of congregate down here because the weather's nice.
Yeah. Well, it's hot. It doesn't. But we don't have a strong winter. All right. Very tropical. The whole serial killer thing, and these kind of mean-spirited crimes, if that's the way you want to put them, are unusual for this culture compared to some of the other places. This is more like some place that you... Crimes like this is usually what you find like in a dying city. Something up in the Rust Belt. It seems like... or someplace where... like out in LA back in the 60s or the 70s where like the porn scene was attracting a lot of prostitution, and then scumbags fucking show up for the prostitutes, and then they're from somewhere else, but they show up to this scene and then they start killing people. It's weird to live in here, to associate weird shit like this with Florida. Florida in general is a happy place. It's wild though. Yeah, you got gunfights. That doesn't mean that it's not happy here. Those dudes are in the drug trade, shooting at each other. Sometimes they kill each other. They're having a good time. That's how they're looking at it. You know what I mean?
I guess so.
They're fighting over drug turf or whatever. But that involves guys that are in crime. I don't really feel sorry for them. That's between them.
Yeah.
Not at all.
You don't have too much of that. I mean, especially where we live is like super chill. I'm just like, I'm never like worried around here ever.
No.
It's like pretty suburban.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, even you go downtown Orlando.
I mean, downtown is a little sketchy, but it's like, I used to go down there by myself all the time, and it's just kind of like I said, every now and then you get kind of in a sketchy situation, but I never thought I was going to die or anything.
It's nothing compared to LA or Detroit or Sao Paulo, Brazil, or it's nothing compared to New Orleans. New Orleans is real rough, especially certain areas. Nothing compared to even Jackson, Mississippi. Jackson, some bad shit can happen to Jackson if you go to the wrong place. Even though that's a small city, but it has a high crime rate in certain areas. It's just the vibe of Florida is in general positive. It feels like a resort area, which that's what it is.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
like I said,
positive.
a lot of stuff is kind of new construction, or they try to make everything look like Disney World.
Jenny was basically born and raised in this area. She's been in
Daytona Beach.
She's been around, but she hasn't lived for long periods of time in real shitholes. You know what I mean? Like I lived for almost 2 years in Detroit, 2nd and West Hancock, down there in downtown Detroit. That's like the fucking combat zone, all right? I lived in real shitholes before. That was before I was in the Army. There's nothing like that. Nothing. That's where I got my first fucking pistol. It's in Detroit. I was underage. I bought a CZ75, a Tanfaligo CZ75 off a drug dealer for $50. And it didn't work, but I fixed it.
Yeah.
But he said, "Hey man, you want a gun?" I said, "Dude, don't fucking shoot me." No, I got a gun. He showed it to me. But this is a collapsing fucking city. And he says, "Is it stolen?" He goes, "I don't know. Got it for somebody else."
We're just passing the buck.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make some money. That's all I'm trying to do.
How much you want for it? You go, 200. I said, "Dude, I don't have that." Well, how much you got? I only got 50. Okay. Oh, crack it. All right.
$50 worth of crack.
50 to $50 it is.
Crack, whatever.
Yeah. It was a nice pistol.
He needs entertainment for that evening.
Yeah.
$50 would probably buy a lot of crack. I mean, I don't know.
It was a nice pistol. It didn't work though.
Yeah.
No. Didn't work. You're missing the mainspring. That's no big deal.
E4 Mafia says it's so hot in Florida. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Too many straight roads. It is very straight here. It's very grid-like.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much where we are, because ours is kind of curvy, but because ours is kind of like country and shit. I never like disliked Florida because it was rough or anything like that. I didn't like it because one, it's hotter than fucking Satan's asshole and I can't stand it. And two, it's just like a lot of where I grew up was like real rednecky.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like real like white trashy rednecky kind of shit. And it's like I don't really like all that rednecky kind of shit.
Yeah, C4 Mafia, that is the new Snake Plissken shirt. This is the larger size version of it. And if you drop me a $20 super chat, I'll send you one just after the show. Jenny will get your send Jenny a message. We'll get your address. I'll send it out to you. We got to produce shirts tomorrow, so I'll shoot it tomorrow and send it out tomorrow.
Yeah, just let me know like
you have it in a couple days.
Mailing address and size and all that kind of stuff. All right, so where was I? Okay, so like I said, after the cops saw this horrifying fucking thing, that's just like, it seems like a fucking horror movie, man. Like looking underneath the fucking blinds and it's like there's a person sitting there, and I haven't seen the crime scene photographs. I'm sure you can probably find them because it's the internet. But I did see a documentary that had little like cartoon or computer like reenactments of how what.
Yeah, you can send PayPal instead.
That's fine. That's fine.
What else was it? Somebody said Detroit has improved. Nico said that. Yeah, I still got friends in Detroit. Detroit improved because they tore most of it down. So that's a caveat there. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so can you imagine like looking into a fucking apartment and seeing a naked body like sitting on the end of the bed and then realizing that it doesn't have a head? I mean, I just can't even imagine what that's got to be like. So
what's the PayPal email?
Hold on.
Shit.
Just hold on, let me type it.
She's putting it down. She's typing it in the comment section.
Okay, everybody don't spam me.
Yeah, don't spam me.
I mean, I don't care if you spam me. I'll just fucking. Okay, hopefully that doesn't.
Yeah. And in the notes, if you send us the money, you can probably send the notes through the PayPal, right?
Yeah. When you send PayPal,
put your address in the note.
Just mailing address and which shirt you want, what size you
want.
And
what size you want.
Well, you wanted a Plissken one, right?
Yeah, but just put that in there. Large Plissken, and then the size of the shirt.
Yeah, because otherwise I can't keep track. And like I said, we're making shirts tomorrow.
Yeah.
And mailing them out, so. All right, so where was I? Okay, so at this point, the cops are like, holy fucking shit. And they run back to the patrol car to call it in. So at this point, it's 1 a.m. Like I said, earlier they found, the first 2 bodies, and now they found another one. So it's been a day, as they say. Now, one of the cops says, I think I hear water running in the apartment. So for a second, they thought maybe the killer would like still be in there. So they had to like take up positions all the way around the apartment, and then they had to wait for more backup like before they could go in. So it was like half an hour. What?
I have to answer a question. So how do you take the head off without getting blood everywhere?
Well, there was blood. There was like a puddle underneath the.
Yeah, if it's post mortem, the heart isn't beating. So when you fucking cut the head off, it won't gush out a whole lot. But if you have ever cleaned an animal like a deer, done your field dressing, there's not a lot of blood. Now maybe she might have been awake or alive when he cut her throat. It's a possibility.
I mean, his MO was just like to stab the shit out of you.
Okay, well then there you go.
And the head was cut off post-mortem.
Post-mortem?
Yes.
Okay.
They did know that.
Good.
So...
he cut a deer's head off and there won't be a drop of blood.
Yeah. But there was blood on the floor. The cop saw it.
Might have been from stabbing her, though.
Yeah, because like I said, he did stab the shit out of everybody.
Okay.
So yeah, where was I? Okay, so they said that they heard water running in the apartment and they thought the killer was still in there, so they called for backup. And so they actually didn't go into the apartment until half an hour after they had first seen the body. So they come in through the front door. They checked in the bathroom. They could hear the shower, like water dripping in the shower, but there was nobody in there. Now, there were blood stains on the floor of the shower, which means probably that the killer, took a shower before he left. So when they came out of the bathroom, they found Krista's head. It turned out that what this motherfucker had done was he had cut her head off and then pulled around a bookshelf and then put her head on top of it so that it was looking at her body. Because that's a thing that you do, apparently. And like I said, that's some Ted Bundy shit. And I think he did some fucking necrophilia and shit like that too, but I'm not entirely sure about that because I've seen different reports about that. But yeah, so they found her head and it was looking at her body. Like he moved the bookshelf specifically so he could put the head on top of it. And also, this is also fun. On the bed next to her, they found her nipples.
Okay,
which
cut
he
them off.
had cut off.
Damn.
And put next to... What the fuck, man? Jesus Christ. What the fuck's the matter with you? I mean, he's dead now, so... He's dead now. But yeah, so, they checked the rest of the apartment and determined that the killer is no longer in there. Now, at this point, they're pretty sure they have like the cops that were at the Williamsburg Village Apartments scene, and they twigged on pretty quick that, you know, this, I don't know if the murders happened the same day exactly, but they found them the same day, like only a few hours apart. And so they were pretty quick to say, you know, this shit is probably linked because they were very, very brutal. There were mutilations. They were both stabbed with what looked like the same kind of knife. Somebody mentioned the kind of knife it was earlier. What's it called? Like K-bar or something like that.
K-bar,
yeah. It was like a hunting knife.
Yeah, it's a combat knife from Marine combat.
Yeah,
knife.
yeah. So
old school shit.
Yeah, that's what this is.
Yeah.
And also another fun thing is that when they so they, you know, they check out the apartment, make sure like the dude's not there, make sure they get all the clues and everything. And then they go to move the body, this poor fucking headless girl, and not only had her nipples been cut off, but the killer had also made a big slice like from her breastbone to the pubic bone. So he had like cut her open. What?
You can finish the sentence. You don't have to just say what. E4 Mafia says keep that extra $20 that he sent.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you very much, E4 Mafia. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
We'll
That's really nice
we'll fulfill the orders tomorrow and send them out.
Yeah, we got to go to the mail tomorrow.
Yeah. Somebody was asking how do you order. Like I said, you can drop a $20 super chat. Tell us what shirt you want and what size. We'll write it down and then send Jenny a private message with your mailing address on it, and so we know who it is, and just make sure, you know, resubmit the order so we know who you are, so we can keep all that straight. Tomorrow I'll print up shirts.
Yep.
Me and Jenny will do it together.
And that's what we're gonna do.
You'll have them in a couple days.
Hopefully, unless you're overseas.
Unless you're overseas.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
somebody asked about the Zazzle store. The Zazzle store has totally different designs. I didn't make them. They tend not to last as long. They come off in the washer.
Well, they're digital printed. Although I have some that it stayed for a really long time. I don't know why yours faded so quickly.
Yeah, it just fell
because I
apart.
have a whole bunch of them, and they look just as good.
Depends on what it is, I guess, and what the design is.
Or maybe yours get washed more often than mine. I don't know.
Maybe
because I have more T-shirts than you, so
the ones we make
as often.
The ones we make by hand are made by hand. Shit here, it's that image will not come off of there. It won't. And I use some of the best fucking dyes. And if the shirt itself ever fades, you can re-dye it with RIT, and it will not stain the white on there. I got some paramilitary stuff coming too. It'll probably be a green shirt or a gray shirt with like cross rifles, and it'll say stuff from the show. And this shirt that you get also comes with a label on the back. Make sure they can see that, Jenny. It says 13 o'clock on the back.
You can kind of see.
So it's got two images
like
on
the
it.
Logo.
So it's got two images on it actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So what was I saying? So yeah, she was sliced open from the breastbone to the pubic bone. So at this point, like I said, they're pretty sure, because not only, you know, there's not a ton of murders in Gainesville, and, you know, definitely not any that are this brutal. So they, you know, were pretty quick to figure out that these three murders were definitely connected. And, you know, aside from just the brutality of the crimes, there were also other little things that were also the same. Both scenes, whoops, I just knocked a box over. Both scenes, some of the girls' underwear had been stolen. Same knife, like I said, that combat knife, 4 to 6 inch blade had been used on all three girls. And it appeared that the girls had been tied up with duct tape, which had been removed and taken away. probably because the killer knew that duct tape is really good at holding fingerprints, and so he didn't want to leave it behind. So after they were dead, he probably ripped the tape off and then took it with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm answering questions.
Victor said, I had the show on Jenny mode. I paused it for a phone call and forgot it had been paused, so I was like 20 minutes behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's how shit happens.
He's asked me something about a testosterone update. He's been gone for a few weeks. I asked him to clarify, but I don't really know what he's talking about. Just been going into end of month 3. Been good. I went down, dropped from like probably 30% fucking body fat down to maybe like 20 something. When I hit 15% body fat, it'll look real good. Between that 10, trying to get between that 10-15% body fat region. Put on muscle, fucking losing fat, metabolism works. If you do cardio, you lose weight fast. If you diet, you lose weight. If you work out, you gain muscle. It's just like you were 15 or 16. Yeah, it's just instant response. Okay, go ahead.
Instant response.
Instant response.
DJ Maniac says, did last podcast on the left just do a series on rolling? Oh, they might have. I forgot to look. I forgot to look for them. Because I guess I haven't watched any of their stuff or listened to their stuff in a long time. Because usually if when I do a search for a serial killer, if they did one on them, it's usually theirs is one of the first ones to come up. But it didn't come up. But I'm sure they have because they've done one on fucking everybody. But now I'll have to look, and I should have listened to it before. Because they usually do really good 2 or 3 part breakdowns of all this serial killer shit. And they're funny as hell, so that helps too.
Hold on. Yeah, DC, had I known what I know now, you're at 42, go on. Knowing what I know now, I'd have gone on at 40. You'll love it.
Yeah, Brittany said yes, last podcast on the left just did it. Theirs is pretty good too. They just did it. That's crazy. I didn't know. I didn't see it. I'd been putting Danny Rolling up in the poll, the Patreon poll for, I put him up, I think 2 or 3 other times, and he just never won. And it just happened that he won this week. So that was what. But like I said, now I'm going to have to go listen to that because I really liked last podcast on the left.
Yeah, Brittany goes, I was surprised when I came back after a week how much of a difference I saw in Tom. As a female, I'm talking to my husband and going on just testosterone. Yeah, fucking, I don't know how old he is, but knowing what I know now, like I said, I'd have gone on at 40. I wouldn't have had to have fucking struggled so much during my weightlifting and training routines. And hitting that hormone crash of your fucking late 40s, early 50s fucks you up. Downside of it, you ask Jenny, I pester her. I do. I pester her. Just can't get off her fucking boobs. I'm trying to fuck all the time. She gets mad, and I'm going no, come on. It's just,
Well, it's sometimes I'm dude, I have to take out the garbage, or I have to I have to do something. You know what I mean?
The thing is that you can't predict the shit. It just hits you. The fucking moonbeam hits her the right way. It bounces off the ass the right way. It spreads a fucking rainbow jumping off the back or off the fucking. And then I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna hit this. and you don't really want to be stopped. And she has to shake you back to your fucking senses, but you can't go back to your senses. You're like 15. And I do 200 milligrams a week. I broke it up into two injections of 100 milligrams each. Every 3.5 days, I shoot myself up with it. And that keeps that peak. I'm trying to prevent that big peak. I like I try to keep it kind of level. I did the research lately. It is hormone replacement therapy, but no teenager could ever have what I have running through my veins consistently 24/7 because it's exogenous. It's coming from outside the body. Most guys only make tests when they're asleep and right before they wake up. That's why they wake up rocked up. If you're not waking up rocked up, there's something wrong with you. Your test is low. Well, I have that almost all the time. Almost all the time. So it's very easy to lose weight. It ends up being kind of like you're always sleeping, you're always healing, even though you're awake. you make fucking a high level of testosterone, even if you've been drinking, even if you're smoking, it doesn't matter. It's in there. So you're not dependent on internal manufacture. It's coming from outside, which solves most of the problems. Everything rebuilds, you get stronger. You're more aggressive. You're more likely to get yourself in trouble. You really got to fucking watch it, especially if you're drinking.
Yeah, because you're gonna like get in a fight or some shit.
Yeah. I go to the club and I'm going like, I'm gonna beat that fucker's ass. And she's like, you can't do that. And I says, yes, I can. Yes, very much.
But I'm like, no,
that.
you really can't.
You want to start? You're gonna go to jail. You gotta watch it. You know what I mean? I could have beat the dude's ass.
That's what I mean. And I was like, so I had to like start a whole fight with him because I'm like, what are you talking about? You can't do that. You're gonna get thrown out. You're gonna get arrested.
Yeah, you're like 52 and you're getting ready to just tear a fucking 25-year-old up. Like, I'm gonna fucking stomp him into a greasy spot.
And I'm just
like, and then she's trying to talk me back into it. It's not really worth it. And I'm going like, I would get this young buck in line. I'm gonna fuck him up. You know what I mean? Because they can't really compete with you. They don't have the same body mass. They're little bitty arms, and you just go like, I could crush him. I'm gonna crush him. You know. But you're gonna get in trouble. It's not really worth it.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
That's not
no, it's good. It's just not worth. It's good. It's just
thing.
you're gonna pay for it. It's very good. It's very good. It's just you don't want to pay for it. See, that's the thing. If you could get away with it, then it's understandable. But I wouldn't have gone away with it. They'd call the cops on me.
Well, yeah.
And then that costs. And you had to spend money to get bonded out or bail out, and then you got to go to court and everything. So it ends up costing more than it's worth. You don't really have to make a point like that. It's when I'm sober, it's not.
Well, that's
bad.
what I was trying to tell you.
Right. When I'm sober, it's not a problem. It's just that.
But you were getting all like,
when you're drunk,
you're getting all freaked out about it.
When you're drunk, your inhibitions are gone, and there's really nothing to stop you. And you're like, this guy's a bug. I'm gonna fucking squash him, you know. And I'm gonna show everybody my dominance. You know, that's exactly what you're thinking. You know, he's lower rank than me. I'm gonna twist his head off. You know, it's just shit like that. You know. So you gotta.
And then I'm just over here going.
Yeah. So. But not all
like
guys.
I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah, not all guys are going to react that way.
Too old for this shit.
Yeah, it's just you start going like, oh, it doesn't. It's a different. It's like a bloodlust in a certain way. But no, it's not that strong. You can fight it off. You can fight it off.
Dudes are so special.
Yes. Yeah. But you're going to be hot.
And you know what kind of special I mean.
You're going to be hot all the time. You're going to sleep beautifully. You sleep beautifully. You wake up real rested. Very, very mentally positive. Like, I can do it. Good energy level. Had I known everything that I know now about it, I would have started at 40. Now, is it dangerous? No. And yes. If you do what I'm doing now, if you started at 18 or 19 exogenous, you're going to fuck yourself up. You want to do it towards the last half of your life, and you don't want to have been abusing any kind of damn anabolics or anything like that, or any kind of drugs before it. So you want your liver and kidneys to be in good condition. You don't want to be obese by the time you hit 40 something.
Speaking of warm, it is kind of getting warm.
What's that?
I guess because I'm like drinking. It's like
right.
When I drink it.
If you're healthy at 40 or 50, that's the time to go on.
Because it was cold in here earlier.
Yeah, and it may extend life. There are some guys that have done it with anabolic steroids instead of testosterone because they didn't have it, and at right therapeutic levels, like Jack LaLanne, they died old in their 80s, I think late 80s, and they were strong and in good health when they died. They died of other things. You're going to die anyway. You look at it this way. I will trade what's happening now. I will trade this for the extra 5 years, or if it costs me 5 or 2 years or 6 years off the back end of my life, I don't care. Because you're going to be an old man watching television those past 5 years anyway. It's not going to fucking matter.
Well, and the thing is,
you don't do anything.
You wouldn't know anyway.
You wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know.
You don't know.
I mean, you're just going to die when you're going to die. You
Right.
You want to know if I had done this other thing, I would have lived that. You won't know any different, so don't worry about it.
It should extend life just based on keeping your weight down and the stress off of your heart, and it's good for your heart at the doses of TRT level. It's good for your heart. Now you start fucking 5 times what I'm doing and steroids and shit, no, it'll fuck your heart valves up. That's why those guys died young. But no, what I'm doing is nothing compared to what a bodybuilder does. Nothing.
Just Pepper said, Jenny, I felt that sigh all the way from Arkansas.
Yeah.
You feel me. You feel me. You know
Yeah.
you know what I'm getting at. Chaz is asking, do you give Sandra London a pass for her behavior? I do want to get into that a little bit. No, not really. I think she's also, obviously she's not akin to Danny fucking Rolling, but I think she's kind of like a parasite, and she kind of, I don't know. It's kind of like, I was watching Dr. Grande. He's this psychiatrist, and he kind of psychoanalyzes like all of these serial killers and other celebrities and shit like that too. And he's really funny because he has like this he's just like so meticulous, and he just talks, and sometimes he'll make jokes, but he makes the jokes in the same exact tone of voice. And it's just, that really, really makes me laugh, because he's like, has this just very, very dry sense of humor. But he said a little bit about her, and he said, well, he's like, yeah, maybe Danny Rolling was using her, maybe she was using him, but, maybe they were using each other. I just kind of feel like she was just using that to make money, like to write a book. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're in there saying, got gay male and a straight female, Brittany, saying that they both want to use tests. Yeah, if you're having problems losing weight, you can go on test. Like I said, if you're around 40, it'll come off a lot easier. But go to the gym and lift. All right, you don't have to lift to get giant, but that'll help. Walk, maybe do some cardio. Brittany, yes, a woman can do it. You can find the dosages, and there's some other things, supplements along with it. Usually fertility drugs that you can get. Go to an HRT clinic. And you'll get ripped, you'll lose a lot of weight, but like I said, you gotta eat high protein, low carbs, do some resistance training. It'll come off you. And it's worth the trade-off for the risk. There may be some risk long term, but probably not as risky as being fat long term. Fat obesity kills people easy. Fuck your cholesterol up, clog your arteries. A lot of stress on your heart. So yeah, it'll help you keep weight off, and you look great. And yeah, test will make you, even a woman, it'll make you a fuck monster. So be prepared.
Be prepared. That's what the Boy Scouts always say.
What test does to a woman is slightly different than what it does to a man. It's a much smaller dose. They're taking much less, but it does a slightly different thing for female. You can look into it. Hold on, I'm going to the restroom. But it will cause you to lose lots of weight and gain lots of muscle. But you can control that.
Okay, so let me get back to the case. Okay. So at this point, right, so there have been 3 murders now, a double murder and a single murder. And clearly both committed by the same person, and they've been horribly, horribly brutal. Even though the cops were trying to keep the worst details away from the media, a lot of them kind of got out anyway. And actually one of the cops, I think he even said to the media after Krista's murder about the beheading and about that kind of stuff. So that actually did get into the papers. And not surprisingly, everybody in Gainesville was freaking the fuck out, because at this point they knew that it was just this maniac that was running around killing people at random, just like stabbing them and stuff. Because they pointed out too that not only did the victims not know each other, but they didn't even go to the same school. Like Christina and Sonia, the first 2, were they went to UF, Lee University of Florida, but Krista went to Santa Fe Community College. So it wasn't like he was just like targeting, students from that one school or anything like that. It could just be kind of like anybody. So at this point, kind of everybody, they get all the fucking, Florida Department of Law Enforcement, FBI, everybody, they get the fucking behavioral specialists, all that kind of shit. So they have a press conference Monday night, which I guess was about 24 hours after they found the first bodies. And I didn't envy their task, because they pretty much had to come out and tell the public, hey, there's nothing to worry about, even though clearly there was something to fucking worry about, because there was a lunatic running around like stabbing people. So that is definitely something that should be worried about. And at this point, and this is something that I remember specifically, after the 3rd murder, a bunch of students like the phone lines in Gainesville got all jammed up because all the students were trying to call home, being like, should I come home? Should we leave? Like, and, you know, parents were calling to make sure they were okay. Parents were going to Gainesville to pick them up. I remember one of my friend's moms, well, and I was like talking to her and she's like, I think I'm going to drive up there and get her. I'm going to drive up there and get her. And they were doing people were freaking out, and a lot of people left and they didn't come back because classes hadn't started yet, you know? And I think they actually pushed the start of classes back a week because of this. Or, you know, pushed it back a little while, because a lot of people did leave, and didn't want to come back. So, you know, basically so everybody in town, they start doing like, you know, the shit that you would do, if you thought a serial killer was running around. They had like all these people, nobody would stay in apartments by themselves. Everybody had like, you know, fucking a dozen of their closest friends. Everybody's staying in the apartment. You know, nobody walks anywhere by themselves in the daytime or the nighttime or anything. And everybody was just kind of like mistrustful of everybody because they didn't know who the fuck this motherfucker was. Is it another student? I think that was kind of the first thing that they presumed because, you know, because the 3 victims were college students. So they thought maybe this is another student. So, you know, you couldn't really trust anybody. So it was that whole kind of shit too. Then the next day, August 28th, which was a Tuesday, they found 2 more bodies. This time, one of them was a guy. There was a guy and a woman.
Stop it, Pooh.
Oh my God, Pokey. So these 2 victims were Tracy Paulez and Manny Taboda. They were 23 years old. They were actually friends and roommates, and they lived at Gatorwood Apartments. I guess Manny had a previous roommate, and then that roommate moved out. So he had this friend Tracy, and she moved into the other bedroom. Now, the scary thing about this was that Manny was a big dude. I mean, he was like, I've seen some 6'1", some 6'3", but he was like a big, I think he was like a football player or something like that. He was an athlete anyway. He was like a big, like 200 pounds, big muscular dude. And he was murdered just the same. And, which is kind of sad because I think that Tracy's parents maybe weren't as worried. She's like, oh, she lives with that big dude. It's like nothing will happen to her. But guess what? Apparently what happened was the killer broke into the apartment and stabbed Manny first while he was sleeping. Like attacked him while he was sleeping and just started stabbing the shit out of him.
I think Pook wants to go outside. Okay, well, I'll take you outside. Yeah, she's going front door. Okay.
And, yeah, and there were a lot of like defensive wounds, like on his arms and stuff. So obviously he had been sleeping. The killer jumped on him and started stabbing the shit out of him with his hunting knife. And the guy had fought him, but had not won that fight, unfortunately, because he died. Now, I guess what ended up happening in this situation. So 7 o'clock Tuesday morning, Manny had a friend named Tommy Carroll. And he, I guess, came by the Gatorwood Apartments because somebody had asked him to check in on Manny and Tracy. Because like I said, everyone was kind of freaking out about like the serial killer running around. And this mutual friend of theirs hadn't heard from either one of them for a little while. So it's like no one's answering the phone. So they get the manager. They, you know, they send the maintenance man to go like check it out. So the maintenance man comes, uses his master key to open the door. Now this is fucking crazy. The maintenance man opens the door to the apartment with the key, right? And as soon as he opens the door, he saw Tracy dead, and she was naked. She was laying in the hall, like between the 2 bedrooms, like with her legs kind of spread out, all bloody and everything like that. And there was, like right by her head, there was like a bag, like a dark bag, like a, you know, like a bag you'd carry shit in. You know, like a bowling bag or whatever. And so the maintenance man sees this and is like, holy fuck, and closes the door. Now he comes back 5 minutes later with the cops. Like he closed the door and locked it because he had the key. He comes back 5 minutes later with the cops. 5 minutes later, the door was unlocked and the black bag he had seen earlier was gone, which means that when the maintenance man opened the apartment door, the killer was still in there. Which is why this is why they presume that Tracy was not as mutilated as the others, because apparently the killer had been interrupted by him opening the door and seeing the body. but he deliberately, they're thinking he deliberately left the body there so that you would see her like with her legs spread out, like as soon as you opened the front door. Because that was kind of his thing. He liked to, like, even in the first case, the first two girls, he wanted to pose them for like maximum shock value. He wanted, like, as soon as you walked in, he wanted you to see them, naked in like a real degraded, kind of pose. He was real into doing that kind of shit. So this was apparently, I don't know what he had planned to do with this victim, but apparently he was still in the apartment when the maintenance man opened the door, and he was going to do something worse, like to her dead body, but he didn't get a chance to do it, presumably. So he had been still in there, but I guess he got away. So at this point, they, like I said, Manny had been killed first, they thought, obviously because he was asleep. And so I guess, I don't know if Danny Rolling ever said that he targeted certain people specifically. He did have a type, because it seemed like all of his female victims had like dark hair that was kind of long and dark eyes, and they all kind of looked similar. So I don't know if he knew necessarily that there was also a guy living in that apartment. I would presume that he probably did know, because he seemed to have gone right into the dude's room and killed him while he was sleeping before he got started on Tracy. So maybe he had been like watching them for a while. I'm not entirely sure, but okay. So at this point, this is the 4th and 5th victims. So at this point, like I said, the story pretty much goes, national, and, the media started to point out all the similarities between this case and the Ted Bundy case, which, like I said, Ted Bundy also killed a bunch of people he killed a bunch of people everywhere, but he killed a bunch of people in Florida, at Florida State University in Tallahassee. And he's a similar kind of thing. He would cut off people's heads and pose them or take them and do that kind of shit. Like, this was doing the same kind of shit. And interestingly, I think Ted Bundy, had just been executed like a year before these murders, right? Because I think he was executed in 89, if I'm remembering correctly. I know it wasn't very long, like from when Ted Bundy was executed to when the Danny Rolling, Gainesville Ripper murders happened. So yeah, so this is like all over the fucking news, like I said. So the cops are getting all these leads, so they're looking into any of these girls' ex-husbands, ex-boyfriends, people that worked around there, anybody that was acting any little bit weird, was going to be looked into. Now, at this point, there's one name that keeps coming up, like a couple of people have reported him, and the cops start looking at this dude, pretty seriously. And as they look into his background, it's like, obviously this is going to be the prime suspect at this moment. A spoiler alert, this is not who it was, but I'm not going to give the cops too much shit, because I can totally see how this would have happened. Although I still feel kind of bad for the guy, but he didn't really help his case either. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so I can totally understand why the cops maybe thought it was him. So this dude's name was Edward Humphrey. Now, I guess there was a cop that lived either in the same building as him. And I think that this cop brought this dude to the attention of her superiors. And when she did it, they're like, yeah, we've had a couple other calls about that guy. Because the thing about him, one, Edward Humphrey lived in Gatorwood Apartments, which was the same complex that Tracy and Manny lived in, the 4th and 5th victims. And there were also a lot of reports about him being real weird or real violent. They said that he was very strange, like he'd been kicked out of his house by his roommates. He was a sleepwalker. The maintenance man and the apartment manager had asked him to leave the property, and he had become violent and thrown things at them. And he had also lived in the apartment complex across the street from the Gatorwood Apartments. And he had gotten in trouble over there as well. Like, he would walk into people's apartments, like, without being invited. He would, like, look in people's windows. He would do that kind of shit. So everyone kind of knew that he was a weirdo, like, around there. Now, in early August, like, about 3-4 weeks before the murders took place, he was arrested in Colorado for disorderly conduct. And then they took his car and they kept him in custody for 24 hours. Now, his grandmother, whose name was Elna Halavati, she came and got him and brought him back to Gainesville and helped him find an apartment, right? So there was another thing, too, where it seemed like, according to many reports, he was very violent toward his grandmother as well. And, you know, there were other things that he had harassed people. There were reports of that, the fights. He pulled a knife at a frat party one time when they tried to stop him from coming in because he wasn't invited. It was that kind of shit. So he pretty much becomes their prime suspect. Like I said, they found it very suspicious that he lived in the same building as 2 of the murder victims and had this long rap sheet of violent and strange behavior. So, like I said, I can see where they were coming from with that. I mean, he did look like a good suspect at the time. And I have to say, too, this is unfortunate, but if you see pictures of him, he had been in a car accident at some point in the past. And so he had kind of his face was all kind of scarred up. So I think that maybe didn't help. You know what I'm saying? Because I think, like, him looking like all scarred and weird looking, I think people were like, oh yeah, that's totally a serial killer. And the thing about it too is I remember this happening too, because I remember them, like, the news and shit, like, putting pictures of this guy in, like, newspapers and everything, and the pictures of this dude were, like, splashed all over the media with him. It's like, oh, prime suspect, which he kind of was. I mean, he was a good suspect, but they had a bunch of other suspects too, but the media only showed pictures of this guy and named this guy. And I remember, I think I even remember thinking back then, oh, they got him. You know what I mean? Because they made it seem like that's who it was. And like I said, he was violent. He did get arrested for that kind of shit, but he wasn't a killer. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like a shame that kind of happened that way. Because he didn't, you know, he wasn't a great person, but he didn't fucking deserve that, did he? So they start following him around. And, you know, they got helicopters following him everywhere. And so October 30th, which was 2 months, I guess, after the murders, the cops actually had an opportunity to arrest him because it turned out that he got into a fight with his grandmother and he hit her. Now, his mom called the cops, and the mom got the grandmother to sign a complaint for aggravated assault. Now, I think the grandmother didn't want to press charges, but the cops were like, well, we're totally pressing charges because we think this guy might be the Gainesville Ripper, so we want to keep him in custody. So that's kind of what they did. I mean, he did do something bad, allegedly. So they did have reason. It wasn't like they were keeping him for no reason, but, you know, they wanted to keep him as long as possible. So they arrest him on an aggravated assault charge, and he gets arrested, taken to a regional medical center. And then the FBI came and started interrogating him. And he gets questioned for 24 hours without a lawyer present, which that's not good. The public defender came, and the public defender got sent away, which, again, not good. So this guy, like I said, not a great guy, but not kosher, like the way they treated him, really. So basically what the FBI said to the public defender was like, well, we haven't arrested him for the Gainesville killings. This is for another, you know, case. He got arrested for aggravated assault, so you don't need to be here. You know, so, and we couldn't say, oh, we arrested him for the Gainesville Ripper case because there wasn't any evidence because, spoiler alert, he didn't do it. So he's there on the assault charges. And they, like I said, the grandmother dropped the charges, but they kept him anyway because the cops said, we're going to press charges. So he gets sent to Brevard County Jail. And they set his bail at $1 million, which is a little excessive for a minor assault charge. And this was also his first offense. So he's waiting for his trial. What?
Want a refill?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's waiting for his trial, which was set for October. Now, as I mentioned, the mugshot of him with the scars all over his face and stuff like that. Thank you. No Need for Me Too. Check out the song by Tombstone Every Mile by... Oh, pretty sure it's about this kid. Oh, it might be. It might be. Yeah, so they basically printed pictures of this poor dude all over and like I said, I remember that happening, and I remember thinking, oh, they caught the Gainesville Ripper, you know what I mean? And everyone was kind of like glad about it. So I was like, oh, that's got to be him, because that's the way they made it sound. They made it sound like it was him. So, yes, it's the media's fault, because they were like, oh, prime suspect, but the cops didn't really do anything to dissuade the media from saying that. They didn't give out any other names to the media. They didn't give any other pictures to the media. So it was kind of like, this guy is it, and that's all there is to it. So at this point, so they don't have any evidence, as I mentioned, linking him to the Gainesville killings. And because there was no evidence, it took the cops 4 days to talk a judge into getting a warrant to search his apartment, his car. They also wanted to search his grandmother's house, because I guess he stayed there sometimes, like when he was between apartments or whatever. So finally, after 4 days, they get the warrant. And then they comb through his car and his apartment and the grandmother's house, and they didn't really find anything. They found some screwdrivers, but they couldn't match them to, because a screwdriver had been used to like get into a couple of the apartments, but the screwdrivers, didn't seem to match any of the shit that they, any of the entry marks or anything like that. So they go to the grandmother's house. And I guess the grandmother wasn't home when the cops got there. And I wasn't aware of this, but I guess if they have a warrant, they can just, they just busted right in. So no one was there.
Got a $5 super chat.
Yeah, I saw it. Okay. I know. I already said I'm way ahead of you. Yeah, so they call a locksmith, they go into the house, and this old lady gets home and finds the cops ransacking her house. She has a moment and passes out. They had to call an ambulance. So even though at this point they've gone through his apartment, his grandmother's house, his car, and haven't found anything that would link him to the murders, but he's still the prime suspect, because I guess that was kind of all they had. And like I said, he was kind of a little bit of a weirdo, and he did have some like history of minor violence and like acting like a weirdo. It also didn't help that after he got arrested, the murder stopped. So that was another thing that made them think that maybe...
because that dude was says, oh, they got somebody, I'm going to stop doing it. Watch. Yeah, that's what he's probably...
Well, no, that's not why. Yeah. So because everybody just kind of assumed that Edward Humphrey was the guy and they had caught him, so everybody started to kind of chill out. Oh, they got the serial killer. So the students that had left started coming back, and everybody kind of was like, whew, that's over. And shit went back to normal. They said, like, even on the, because the story was obviously front page news in all the Central Florida newspapers for, a really long time. But then after a while, everyone just kind of not forgot about it, but we're just kind of like, oh, it's over now, because they thought that they had caught him. So like I said, this is really like unfortunate. So October, Edward Humphrey gets sent to trial on the assault charges. His grandmother testified at his trial and went back on her thing and said, no, he didn't hit me. Because like I said, she had dropped the charges prior. Despite that, though, Edward got sentenced to 22 months at Chattahoochee, which is a state mental hospital. So there you go. And it's for the criminally insane is what it is. They actually made a movie a while back with Gary Oldman in it called Chattahoochee. That's about that place. It's kind of infamous.
Look, she's trying to open the damn closet door.
You can't open that, Pookie. You're too little.
I'll open it for you.
There's nothing in there that's different than usual.
Have fun. She
She's
thinks
like,
it leads out.
Ooh, this is not outside. That's bullshit.
It doesn't go out.
She's like, this is bullshit.
Yeah. That got ripped. Open the door and it didn't go out.
She keeps forgetting. Yeah, so they sent him to Chattahoochee for 22 months. And he doesn't get released until September 18th of 1991. Yeah, so they put him in a fucking, essentially like a home for the criminally insane. And he didn't really do anything other than maybe smack his grandma, which, like I said, don't do that, but not really like raping, killing, and murdering and mutilating 5 people. I mean, you know, it's kind of not the same. So the sad thing about it is that I feel like he was still considered a suspect up until the point when Danny Rolling finally got sentenced, and that was until 1994. And I don't think that Edward Humphrey ever got any compensation or even an apology or anything. It was like, hey, sorry, we splashed your fucking name all over the media and said you were the Gainesville Ripper. Our bad. And they just, I don't remember if this is true, because I don't remember if it's in my notes, but maybe I heard it on another documentary. But I think that his grandma was like so freaked out that she like had a fucking heart attack or something like that. She might have had like more than one. I don't know if she died, but you know. So it turns out that while the cops were doing the surveillance on Edward Humphrey, who it turns out was not the Gainesville Ripper, turns out the real dude who was the Gainesville Ripper, Danny Rolling, he had actually just gotten away with a bank robbery. So here's what was going on. So Danny Rolling, who, again, spoiler alert, is the Gainesville Ripper, he had actually been hanging out. This was August 28th, which was 2 days after the 4th and 5th murders. So he's been hanging out with this guy named Tony Danzy. Not Tony Danza, Tony Danzy. So they're hanging out in the woods. They had a campsite in there. And this was near where Krista Hoyt had been murdered, like near her apartment building. Now, in this campsite, I guess Danny Rolling had made this campsite there like the afternoon before like the first murders had taken place, like before he did them. So I guess he'd been hanging out with Tony Danzy because Tony was a drug dealer, and I guess Danny wanted some drugs, so they started hanging out together. Now, the cops actually noticed them, not because he thought they were murderers, but just because they thought they looked sketchy or they were like up to something sketchy. So the cops started like, you know, being like, hey, what are you doing? Now, Tony stopped to talk to the cops, but Danny ran off, which again, very suspicious. At this point, like I said, the cops don't think this is anything to do with the murders or nothing. They just think that these are 2 sketchy guys walking down the street and they want to know what they're up to. Because like I said, there was drugs, there was shit like that. So Danny Rolling runs off into the woods, and the cops chase him, and they end up finding his campsite. They didn't find him, but they found his campsite. Now, they found a bunch of stuff at the campsite that would later be important in tying him to the murders, but at that point, they didn't make the association between those 2 things because they didn't realize that this was the guy. However, they did see that at the campsite, there was a bag full of cash that had pink dye on it. And they're like, hey, this is the dude that just did the fucking bank robbery. And that's who we were looking for. This was the First Union National Bank that had been robbed on the 27th or the 28th. And this was, you know, the guy they were looking for, obviously, because here was the money. But because the cops had not associated this bank robbery with the murders, they took all his shit from the... Thank you, Nico. Thank you, Nico Cat 86. Cheers and happy Friday. Same to you. But, you know, because the campsite was there, so they took all his shit and they just kind of, like, stored it as they would, because it's, like, crime scene. But they didn't really, like, look into it any deeper than that because they just thought he was a bank robber. Now, at this point, I guess Tony and Danny Rolling, you know, met up the next day. And Tony said, hey, I'm going to call the cops on you. So Danny kind of took off, and he didn't have any money because obviously they had taken all his shit from the campsite, and he didn't have a car either. So he figured, well, I better steal some shit. So he breaks into an apartment of another student named Christopher Osborne, who I don't think was home at the time. But while he was in there, he stole the keys to Christopher's car, which was a 1978 Buick Regal, and he started driving toward Tampa. Now, while he was on the way there, he broke into another bunch of houses, like looking for shit, money and whatnot. But he didn't really find much of anything that was going to help him on his absconding. But he did leave a bunch of clues behind, like hair and fingerprints and shit like that. Now, he was robbing a convenience store at one point, and he almost got caught, but then he ran into the woods and got away. But his escape wouldn't last much longer than that. So Danny steals another car and starts driving to Ocala, which is where my mom lives. It's a big place, though. But it's a big, like, national forest, but there's, like, towns and shit in there, too. And a lot of lovely springs, just gotta say. It's right in the middle of the state. My mom lives there. So he goes to Ocala. In Ocala, he decides he's going to rob a Winn-Dixie grocery store in the middle of the afternoon on a Saturday. This was September 8th, 1990. So he walks in there, big swinging dick. He forces the manager at gunpoint to empty the safe in the office. Now, I guess what happened was that somebody else that worked at the store, like the bookkeeper or something, she was coming back from like her lunch break or whatever, and somebody told her, like, at the entrance, hey, some motherfucker is in here, like, you know, robbing the safe or whatever, and she's like, well, shit, I'm gonna go call the fucking cops. That's what she did. So she went and called the cops. So the cops already got there by the time Danny was leaving the grocery store and, like, heading back to his getaway car. And also the store manager, Hero, followed the dude as he ran out of the shopping center, and he knew what the getaway car looked like. So when the cops came, he's like, there he is right there, officer, go fucking get him. So Danny Rolling backs out of the parking lot, and the cops start chasing him. There was a high-speed chase, and then Danny crashed the car and then ran, started running away on foot. He runs into, like, an office building, like, kind of runs, it's like, hey, whatever. And then he runs out through the rear door, but obviously the cops, like, you know, they knew he was going to do that, so they kind of, like, headed him off at the pass. So he, like, tried to escape, but he didn't, and he finally got arrested. So, was there anything else you needed to say?
No, I'm just looking at how long it took you, and I was like, well, boy, I made good time when I shut the fuck up.
Well, see?
I'm talking to people inside the chat room and keeping everything all orderly and answering questions and shit. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How long's the show been running?
Only an hour and 43 minutes.
Okay, good. All right.
Yeah. I mean, like, if we finish early, we can just talk about other shit. It's fine.
It'll be okay.
Yeah.
You were only halfway through.
Yeah. Chaz says he's making dumb moves like he wanted to get caught. Maybe he did, because I just feel like he's a serial killer for sure, but I feel like he had this weird thing where it's almost kind of like he did a bunch of minor crimes and robberies and stuff, like, throughout his life. But then just all of a sudden he decides, I'm going to kill, like, a whole bunch of motherfuckers just, like, in a couple of day period, which is really strange. You know what I mean? Although I guess, like, I don't know, I guess Ted Bundy kind of did that kind of shit too. So they arrested Danny Rolling on September 11th, 1990. So basically, what happens is that I guess at this point, Danny Rolling is in jail for the grocery store robbery. I don't think at this point that they had associated the two things, like I said, because at this point, Edward Humphrey was still in custody, like, on the assault charges, and he was still, like, prime suspect. Danny Rolling was just wanted for the bank robbery and the other robbery, the grocery store robbery, because he had done a bunch of burglaries, like convenience stores and shit like that, and he was they were looking at him for that, not so much for the murders. Now, when they arrested Danny Rolling, he seemed like pretty chill, like, yeah, you got me, and he just cooperated with the police and the cops and everything like that. and they said, okay, he seemed like pretty chill. But then he was in custody for a few months. And then in early January of 1991, he seemed to have like a fit of violent rage. Like somebody like made him really mad. And he ripped a toilet like out of the ground and like threw it across the room. You know what I mean? So, and nobody had really seen that, like seen him behave like that prior, like, you know, in the jail or whatever. So at this point, his defense attorney is like, yeah, let's get some psychological tests on this guy because he seemed like pretty chill and cooperative when he came in here, but ripping a toilet out of the floor and throwing it across the room, that's, you know, that's maybe something we need to look into. So, so they had some psychological tests, done on them. And, I guess that, Danny Rolling had pleaded guilty to the armed robbery charges, and the defense attorney said that they should withdraw that because maybe he had some psychological problems. Now, at this point, what ends up happening is that because the Gainesville Ripper murders, the 5 students that were killed, the brutality of them, everything like that, and because the story had gone national, police in Louisiana, because you know, they had that, what's that called, that VICAP or whatever, like where you put, you know, it's like the nationwide database of like crimes, and if you put in like, hey, all the weird details of the case, like it'll ping if like stuff in other parts of the country have the same specific weird details. So I guess what happened with that was the cops in Louisiana, they called the authorities in Florida and they said, hey, we have an unsolved triple murder in Shreveport, Louisiana, that happened back in November of 1989. And some of the details of it are real similar to those fucking Gainesville Ripper cases that you've been working on. What happened in that case, it was a family, and this is like really horrible. So the ones in Shreveport, where it was a 55-year-old man named William Grissom, and he had a daughter named Julie who was 24, and she had a son who was 8 named Sean. And I guess this little family had been in their house and they were getting ready to sit down to dinner, and some motherfucker just broke in and brutally murdered them all. And Julie, the 24-year-old, was also raped, and her body was mutilated in much the same way that many of the Gainesville victims' bodies were mutilated, and was cleaned in the same way. I'm presuming with the dishwashing liquid kind of deal, like some of the other crimes. So they thought this was very interesting. So at this point, like, one of the investigators from Florida goes to Shreveport to kind of look into the similarities. There were other similarities too. The victims had been posed like in a really degrading way, like for maximum shock value. There was also duct tape residue on the bodies. Vinegar had been used to clean them. And they said they tested the body fluids from the killer in Shreveport and said the person had B-type blood. So, like I said, at this point, I don't think they were real sure that Danny Rolling was their guy because they were still kind of focused on Edward Humphrey. But this was just, you know, Shreveport cops saying, hey, these murders were very much, so you might want to look into it as probably like the same person. Now, after the Florida investigator went to Shreveport, that was November of 1990, there was another woman who lived in Shreveport. Her name was Cindy Jurassic, something like that. She actually ended up calling the Crime Stoppers hotline and reported that Danny Rolling was probably connected to both murders. She said that she had been in the Florida Panhandle 3 months earlier, in August of 1990, when the murders were occurring, and that she had heard about the murders on the news, and it made her think of the shit that had happened in Shreveport. And she said, me and my husband knew Danny Rolling, like, not, he was like kind of an acquaintance or whatever. And she told the police, she's like, Danny Rolling said some really weird shit to us, you know, a few times, like he was a real weird dude. And he used to come over their house sometimes. And she's like, at one point, my husband was like, yeah, we can't hang out with that dude anymore because he's like, there's something the matter with him. Like he's got a problem. And she said that her husband said, because she was like, well, what is his problem? And then the husband said he likes to stick knives into people. So at this point, she's like, I wasn't really sure because we kind of knew this guy and I didn't really think that he had done that horrible triple murder in Shreveport. But she's like, but then when I was in Florida and I heard about the shit in Florida, she's like, I thought maybe so. So I thought I would like call it in. So that was another thing that kind of, put him on the radar, like for the cops, like I said, for the murders anyway. So, as I said, he had been arrested for the supermarket robbery and he was, in custody. I think the supermarket robbery was, the Winn-Dixie was 10 days after the 4th and 5th murders, Tracy and Manny. And, it was only 40 miles away from Gainesville. So they did a blood test and they found out that Danny Rolling indeed had type B blood, just like the suspect in both the Gainesville and the Shreveport murders. So at this point, they figured, okay, well, we need to go back into the evidence locker and look at all the shit that we took from his campsite on the day of the bank robbery, when they weren't thinking that he was a murderer. They just thought that he was a robber, and they took all his stuff and just like stuck it in an evidence locker somewhere. So they take all of the stuff out of the evidence locker, and guess what they found? They found a gun. They found a screwdriver that matched the scrape wounds on some of the... Oh, there he goes.
That's right. I got to cool off. I'm going straight Riddick right now.
He's going...
I got to have head decoration.
He has to have head decoration.
A head decoration.
I'm gonna, you know
oh
what?
My God, it's fuzz right here.
I'm gonna get you. You know how like they have when you have like a little babies and little babies are bald.
Yeah.
And then they have like those little bonnet or like a little hairband. Yeah. Or they have those little barrettes for little girl babies or boy babies, whatever, that have like little what do you call it? Like Velcro. Yeah. So you can just like stick them on top of their heads, like they don't have any hair.
Too much. Yeah, it's too much. Look, it's too much white.
I want that. You need some little barrettes. You need some little barrettes.
Yeah. So I gotta have. I want to put some.
Or a little flowered sun hat.
I gotta put something that's got.
You're
style
making this
on.
shit go all blurry.
I gotta have style on it.
Xanada says you need a head tattoo.
Nah, come on, man. A kid would come up with some shit like that. He's like fucking 20.
Come on, why don't you like tattoo like a brain? No. And like a cracked open skull with a brain? That'd be neat.
No, just put fucking hats and like a little goggles and shit, man. I'm fucking going Riddick on these motherfuckers. They see, I just do that and see that looks good too. Okay. I look like some out of Mad Max. Fury Road. Eyes on, eyes on, eyes on. Remember?
Yeah.
Eyes on. Yeah.
You gonna paint yourself white?
Yeah. Put a little black stripe.
Or you kind of look like a bee also.
Yeah, like a bee.
Yeah, okay. So they go in the fucking evidence locker. They find a gun. They find a screwdriver that matched the tool marks at a couple of the sites. They found a cassette player that had a cassette tape in it where Danny he sang some like songs, I guess, that he had written, because he was a songwriter too, because of course he was. And that
must be a delivery.
That might be something. Yeah. Doorbell rang.
Doorbell ring. You gonna come with me, Pope?
She's like, no, I'm too lazy. But yeah, you can hear it. It's on YouTube, and they played it in some of the documentaries and stuff. But he's basically, it sounds like he's talking to his family, like, hey, don't worry about me. And then, like, the last thing he says on the tape, he's like, and this was before the murders, like, right before the murders, he says something like, well, gotta go, don't worry about me, I've got some things to do, he says, on this fucking tape. So they found this fucking tape at the shit. For you. It's probably that t-shirt.
Yeah, it feels like something like that.
Yeah, it is. Okay. That's that one special order shirt that I had.
It's a black t-shirt?
Yeah. I just needed to get that. I thought it was coming today. I just thought it was kind of late. But yeah, so this fucking tape is super fucking creepy. The fact that he says, that's the last thing he says, I've got some things to do. And then obviously was the things he was got to do. He had to go fucking cut some people up because fucking Jesus Christ. All right. Yeah. Jesus Christ. All right. So yeah, this audio diary, like I said, had a bunch of stuff that was real incriminating sounding. Now, at first, it seemed like Danny was pretty cool with admitting guilt, like for all the robberies, but he wouldn't really say that he had done the murders. However, he didn't seem all that shy about telling other inmates about it, and he just like fucking blabbed his fucking head off about it. So what happened to that? It was weird because a lot of the people that he talked to, like in prison, that went to the authorities later, they said that it was almost kind of like sometimes he seemed like he felt really bad about it, but then sometimes he was just like, yeah, I did that shit. And he was like bragging, you know what I mean? This dude was like so fucking weird. He's one of those dudes that I can't really get a handle on. You know what I mean? He doesn't, like, his personality doesn't seem as developed as, I know it's a weird thing to say, but it doesn't seem as developed as maybe some of the other serial killers that you like immediately, like you hear them talk or whatever and you're like, oh, this person's this, that, and the other. This guy just seems really
like a non-entity.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Real generic.
I think it's because when they did all the psychological evaluations of him, pretty much all of them said that he had the emotional age of a 15-year-old boy. Like he wasn't real, you know what I mean? He wasn't stupid, but they said his IQ was slightly above average, but he just, I don't know. He seemed like he was kind of, I don't know what his deal was.
Some dudes just won't talk. He's probably one of those.
It's like he did, but then the shit he said, I don't know. I could never determine if he was ever being genuine or if he was like taking the piss, or I don't know. It was like really hard to tell. He's like a weird dude. He was a weird dude. So he makes friends with this other inmate named Bobby Lewis, who, fun fact, was the only man to have escaped from Florida's death row. I'm not really sure what the story behind that is, but I just saw that in my notes. So at this point, Danny's like, okay, well, maybe if Bobby escaped, maybe I can also escape. He's like, so, because he's like, even if I don't get convicted of the Gainesville shit, he's like, I'm probably still going to be in prison for the rest of my life for all the fucking armed robberies that I did. So I guess because he thought that Bobby could help him to escape, so he basically told Bobby everything, like all the murders, like down to the tiniest little detail, right? So he tells him all this shit.
Hold on 1 second. I see a lot of people's comments are vanishing. I think if you cuss in the comment section, I think the AI immediately takes it away. So that's why your comments are vanishing.
Which is weird because I don't have that setting.
Yeah, it just, YouTube does what it wants. If you cuss or if you say something that it thinks is hateful, it's not going to, just because of the wording. I mean, the AI is not good. All right? It'll just take it away. So just be careful what you say. Reword it.
Either that or like maybe they spelled something wrong and took it away. I don't know what it is. But yeah, so he told Bobby that he said, well, when I was in prison before, like, because I guess he'd been in prison before for something else back in the 80s, that he decided back then that he was going to kill all these people before he even came to Gainesville. So it wasn't like, you know, that was like just something he randomly decided. Now at this point, he tells kind of a sob story, which, like I said, they all do. And I'm not saying that his, childhood wasn't horrible. It sounds like it was. But again, not really an excuse. I mean, and I don't know how much of it is exaggerated. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of it just kind of comes from him. So he's like, basically, he's like, yeah, I have a really evil side that I can't always control. It's because my dad, who was a cop, was real abusive. Abused his mom, abused him, abused his brother. Seemed pretty horrific. He also said he had been raped in prison. I don't know if that's true. He also kind of blamed his ex-wife because of course he did. So Danny and Bobby, they decide that the best plan of action to escape from prison is Danny is somehow going to fake suicide. And then they're going to take him out, and then he's going to be like, no, I'm alive. And then he's going to run away. I don't know what their fucking plan was. He's not like the brightest bulb. So that was kind of what their plan was. Obviously that never took place. What he decided to do instead, this is so weird. Like I said, this dude is so weird. I can't, And not even weird in a way that I can get a handle on. It's just weird in the way that I can't like figure out what his fucking deal is.
Well, Gary Ridgway's like that. They do just sit there and look at you like, huh? Scared and shit. They don't want to say anything, you know.
Yeah,
I've seen videos of him being interviewed, and he just came across as being just a weaselly, wimpy, just weak fucking worm of a man. Saying, you know what I mean? Around the cops, he was just fucking trembling. This motherfucker killed all these women, and he's going to be scared around the cops? What the fuck? Where'd you think you were going to end up? You know what I mean?
I don't think they think it through
just,
that clearly.
You know what I mean? Fucking says he's one of those probably.
Maybe.
I have to see him myself.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't a small dude. He was a pretty big dude.
Doesn't matter.
That's what I mean. It's just he didn't seem snivelly. He just seemed, I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Weird. I'm not really
seen
sure.
Big, tall dudes that do that same fucking shit. They got big cowards too, and he just sounds like a fucking coward. And a lot of times, what they'll do is they'll just hide behind like a wall of silence and I don't know. They just kind of act submissive, you know. I've seen the interviews of it.
Yeah.
So you know, and I like to size them up, you know. This is back when I was fucking into that kind of shit. I'd watch them all the time, like when I was watching Kuklinski's shit. That was the only offender that fucking would have spooked me. Kuklinski, the Iceman.
Well, because he wasn't doing it for the same reasons
Fucking
that
mafia
serial
hitman.
killers.
I would have called that motherfucker Mr. Kuklinski. Okay, that's how much that dude kind of fucking shook me. That was a fucking that was like Luca Brasi he was worse than Luca Brasi out of The Godfather.
Yeah.
Much worse. Big motherfucker just killed all those people.
Yeah.
Mafia hitman.
Yeah.
But he was fucking, that dude was tough. I'm getting off topic. But
yeah, we already did a show about that guy.
Yeah. But that's the only dude that fucking I'd ever called Mr. Kuklinski. I called him Mister, but he was doing it for a profession. These other dudes,
yeah, like I said, it's not like he was doing it because it's like, oh, that's my sexual proclivity.
Right. These dudes are perverts here.
Problems.
I got sexual problems, you know. Yeah. This motherfucker got sexual problems
or something.
Yeah.
So at this point,
well, you know, some of these guys, they'll never really compete with me and what I do. I mean, they have no standards. I can tell just by you telling me about this man, Jenny, is that he didn't care how tall the grass was. And right there, that tells you he's got no standards.
It certainly does.
Doesn't care how tall the grass is. Doesn't care where the dogs are. Just a total, damaging the community. No respect for the community.
Sure.
Yeah, and the church. Yeah.
Yeah. See my review on the clue pitch killer.
Yeah.
Which
go ahead and go back. Go ahead and go back. I send him back.
You sent him back to
I sent him back
wherever, back to the shelf.
Yeah, send him back to prison.
Okay.
I can't channel him anymore. Yeah.
He went back to the prison. It's
Yeah.
like he's possessing you, but he's still alive.
Yeah. See, I got paid for that. See, got a super chat for that. That's coming over. Thank you very much.
That may be
That's
a little.
for Dennis. $5 for Dennis. Whenever I do Dennis.
Thank you.
If you got any new listeners, I channel Dennis Rader sometimes. Well, I'm very popular. Everybody loves me. The women love me. Of course they do. $5 is going to come. Dennis, I told you go back to prison, bro. I can't. I'm the world's only paranormal psychic that can channel the living. They got a lot of fucking psychics that can channel the dead. I channel the living.
Yeah, okay. See, it's much harder.
Straight from behind bars.
Live and in person.
Yeah.
Well,
of course I have to show up when you call me, Tom. And Jenny's here. Both of her boobs are here.
I hope so. That'd be pretty weird if only one of them showed up.
Jenny, hold on. I'm going to go get the image.
Brian Amplet says, remember when Tom broke his head off?
Yeah.
Sophie was here. I couldn't believe that. It was like unbelievable. We were just like looked at the floor like, oh my God, his head popped off.
Jenny, how can I refuse Tom's request to have me on the show when it's you, me, Tom, and both of your boobs? It's not possible. It would not be right if I did not make an appearance.
Sure, I can see that.
The audience, of course, loves me. They have no choice. You know how it is. It's one of my projects.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. You've seen my photography.
I have.
The best photography known to man. You saw me in the fishnets, right?
I did.
How did it look?
Interesting.
It aroused you, didn't it? I was aroused when I put the fishnets on and went down into that grave. It takes a genius to take a picture of yourself in a grave, dressed up in the fishnets and the bra. Do you realize how hard it is to press that button? Took me a long time to figure that out. I had to record it for posterity, so everyone would know how beautiful they look to me in my mind. That's how I become the things that I love, because I love me.
Yeah, that's pretty clear.
And you see, unlike other people like me that have projects, I identify with these beautiful women.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I kill one of them, a little piece of myself dies along with them. So I have to pretend like I'm them at the same time. I am them. I see my own face in theirs. It's very deep. It's sentimental. You know about sentiments, don't you, Jenny?
Sure.
Okay. Well, chow time. I got to get back. I got a card game I got to play.
Yeah, I bet.
Some motherfucker's trying to sell me for a pack of cigarettes. Hold on.
Is it H.H. Holmes? He's back there too.
Yeah.
H.H. Holmes is trying to leave.
Yeah, I'm gonna know.
They're fucking with each other. I put them next to each other so they can fight.
Yeah. All right.
Brian says just get a Sharpie and draw that Raider hair on Tom.
It's just lines.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
that would be so fucking funny. Tila just showed up and said, "Oh my god, I just showed up and you're playing with action figures."
Tila, we were talking about you. We were missing you, bitch. Where the fuck were you?
Yeah, we've
I
been
can't
here,
understand
we've
this
been here
shit.
for like hours.
Dude, the whole show you weren't here. People were worried about you. In the comment section, I saw somebody said, worried about Tila. Where is she?
Well, probably because we're talking about serial killers, and
Yeah.
we're probably just like somebody
they
call
get
her
worried,
and
they
make
get
sure.
scared.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
Projects. Projects.
Yeah, projects.
Yeah. Tila,
Oh god.
Tom told me about you. I'd like a picture. Send a picture to me. I want to see if I can reproduce that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't know if Tila has met Dennis yet.
yeah, I can't remember.
I don't think Tila.
I had totally forgotten about the show when Sophie was here when you dropped Dennis and his head popped off and we were like freaking out.
It was funny.
That was very
I fixed it.
yeah. Yeah, he got fixed. He's the only one that got beheaded and is like still alive.
Oh yeah, T Stows, I'm playing with the action figure. No Tila. The spirit of I channel the spirits of not only the dead but the living. I channel the spirit of Dennis Rader. And I got a little Dennis Rader doll. And I start talking like Dennis Rader. Yeah.
We still haven't figured out an H.H. Holmes voice though, because we have an H.H. Holmes ball.
No, I did H.H. Holmes.
Yeah, see, that's what I see. I thought he would sound like an old school like carnival barker.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what he really sounded like, but it's like that mustache kind of makes me think that that's probably what he sounded like.
Yeah.
Step right up. I kind of feel like he would sound like.
Yeah, we got 71 people in there listening to us. This is the biggest show of all time.
Wow, woo.
Thank you very much.
How exciting.
Yeah. Jay Marcus was in there going, oh, Dennis. You know.
Fourth throw down said if you hold a barcode reader up to Dennis Rader's hair, you get a year's free Netflix subscription.
Damn, didn't know that. Damn.
Oh my god, I'm dying.
Damn.
Oh my god. That's awesome.
How you been, Jay? Where you been, Jay?
Oh my god. Brian says, what spirits does Jenny channel?
She
Vodka.
Yeah.
That's about it. Vodka and sometimes whiskey.
Yeah. Look at Pookie down there sitting at the feet of Spock.
Is she really?
Mirror Spock.
Oh, she's
From the
hanging
Mirror
out with
Universe.
Mirror Spock. All right, so where was I?
So Tico, so you're gonna have a seance night one of these?
You know what? I
times?
wanted to do that on one of the shows.
About,
We should. You know what? We should do that on the Halloween show. Because we're running out of ideas for shit to do for the Halloween show.
That'd be so difficult.
It wouldn't.
We'd have to have more than us here. We'd have to fucking get Jen to beat you or something.
Well, we could get like more people, and also, I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but probably we should like rig up some shit, like scary shit to put in the background, because otherwise it would just be really boring. Unless us sitting around the thing going like, "You pushed it, no, you pushed it."
No, you're embarking on something that will fucking lead to bad things. Okay.
What you actually think that like demons are gonna come or something?
It'll lead to a bunch of
shenanigans.
It'll lead to
but that's what everybody wants to see.
Yeah.
Everybody comes and watches us for the shenanigans.
Yeah.
Shenanigans.
Tina's in there acting like a hall monitor, asking for people's passes. Yeah. Jay, she's in okay, but she had some relatives sick in the hospital.
Oh shit.
Gonna be all right, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happened.
Okay, should we get back to the case?
Yeah, we should. Probably.
Yeah, T jumped in. What the fuck is this? No, it goes way back. T, you haven't been listening to the show long enough, I guess. But every now and then. You haven't done it. Well, you used to do it like every week. All the time. But... The spirit of Dennis Rader takes over me.
Even though he's still alive.
I'm one of the few psychics that can channel the spirits of the living.
Sure.
They got a lot of them that'll channel the spirits of the dead.
Easy. That's easy.
Fucking easy.
Everybody can do that.
I channel a motherfucker's spirit while he's still alive. All right.
So I wonder what happens to Dennis in prison. Like when his spirit isn't, does he just like go catatonic like?
No, he doesn't even know it happens.
He doesn't even know it's always in two places at once.
Yeah, what happens is I'm channeling it through his unconscious, the cosmic unconscious. So
all right.
It gets all. Yeah, it gets all. Yeah, all right. Don't get me started lying. Just make.
Brian says contact Richard Ramirez. We don't want to talk to that.
Nah, his teeth were too bad. It'd give me really bad breath and shit.
Yeah, what if you got like some?
Yeah, he had them rotten teeth.
He was all stanky.
Okay, got another super chat. It's from DC. Sent a $10 super chat.
Thank you.
And he says now 5-10 because I think Tom is actually channeling BTK. It is for real. It's for real.
I mean, I'm just kind of hoping that he doesn't channel the murdery part like one day and he just decides.
No, he's in a good mood. BTK, no. BTK.
Yeah, but that's probably bad though, because I feel like he's in a good mood when he gets to kill people, right?
Look, I gotta see if they let these inmates have fucking phones nowadays. I mean, he might have a phone and a connection.
Are you gonna call him and do the voice?
Call him and do.
He'll be like, "Oh my god, I think I'm talking to myself. This is so weird."
Have him on as a guest. Fucking.
This is like some David
Zoom
Lynch
chat.
Okay. I'm talking to my own self.
Taylor.
Thank you, Taylor.
Taylor's sending a magnificent $10 super
Sorry
chat.
I'm late. The devil made me do it. I find myself.
Okay, thank you very much.
It's like a fine from
Thank you very much. Yeah, we're more than halfway through this show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said,
people were asking about you. They're worried about you.
Yeah.
I forgot who it was.
Yeah, Victor said Jenny's gonna get home and find Tom in her clothes, and he's gonna say he's channeling Dennis.
Yeah,
that wouldn't shock me. See, yeah, I'll come home from vacation, and he's gonna be laying on the floor in my fishnets and shit like that, like trying to take a picture of himself, like a wig and whatnot.
Victor's rocking up over that shit. Victor's rocking up over that shit. He's gay. He'd love to see me in some fishnets all laid out in drag.
That would be funny. You should probably.
I could do a photo shoot like that'd be funny as fuck.
It probably would.
Yeah, I'd do a recreation of Dennis.
You gotta dig a hole in the backyard.
Dig the hole, get in the hole, and make that a 13 o'clock fucking commercial. Me in the hole, you throwing dirt on me. Snap a picture. I'm fucking snap a picture. Jenny, I'm channeling Dennis.
God.
Broad panties. That shit would be funny.
It would be funny.
It'd be real fucking funny. Got Pookie next to me going, what the fuck is going on? Can I throw dirt on him too, Mommy? Jeez, what the fuck?
Of course you can.
Yeah.
Because that's what I tell Pookie all the time. Because Pookie likes to wrestle him. Yeah. And like I said, if he tries to like get away from her, she like grabs his legs like, no, you're not going anywhere. Yeah, so I always tell him like, beat him up, Pookie, get him.
Yeah.
I always tell Pookie to beat him up.
Yeah, she'd attack my foot. I'm watching television and I'll fucking get her and roll her over and just put my hand on her stomach and she goes, ah! Screaming like I'm killing her or just touching her fucking stomach like that. And she's looking at me dead in the eye going, ah! Ah! And I start doing it back, ah! Ah! She loves to scream. Then she gets tired of it and goes, okay, and starts falling asleep like a fucking funny cat.
That was fun.
I had to get the video of that shit. She does it every day.
Yeah, it's like it's a little routine.
Yeah, it's every fucking day. Grab my stomach. Ah, you're killing me. You're killing me. Ah.
I'm gonna bite you.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
She rolls all around.
Yeah. It's fucking funny.
It's so fucking funny.
It's like a little kid, man.
Yeah.
She's like a little kid.
Yeah, she is like a little.
Yeah.
She's like
She's
a little
funny.
little tomboy.
Yeah.
But yeah. So okay. So here's this weird shit, right? So the whole fake suicide to escape prison. Obviously, that's gonna work out. So what Danny Rolling decides to do, like in late January of 1993, rather, he tells the authorities that he wants to confess, but he's not going to confess. He's going to have his friend and this other inmate, Bobby Lewis. He's like, I want to confess through him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they set it up, and it took 3 hours. So the investigators would ask Bobby the questions, and then Bobby would answer the questions, and then Danny would be like, that's right.
Yeah.
3 hours, it went on like that. And so I guess Bobby knew all the details because Danny had told him. So it's like Danny was just like, yeah, that's right. That's what he said. What?
He was talking about would Buffalo Bill be an easy fucking costume for Christmas because all you gotta do is just tuck and go.
Yeah, there you go.
That shit, fucking tuck
Just
and
put
go.
on the wig and the little robe.
And he's like, would you fuck me? I'd fuck me.
Sing Goodbye
Would you fuck
Horses.
me? Goodbye horses, I'm dying over you. Goodbye horses. Would you fuck me? I'd fuck me.
Yeah. And also it'd be kind of funny if you carried a basket with lotion in it.
Yeah. It puts the lotion in the basket.
Or it gets the hose.
Or it gets the hose again. A census taker once tried to take a census taker once
That
tried
wasn't
to
Buffalo
test me.
Bill. That
I know.
was Anthony.
I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
I swear to God, I have that fucking.
Tell me
thing.
something, Agent Starling. Did he sodomize you?
And that dude like flicking jizz on her face.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
fucking nasty.
Yeah.
Multiple Migs.
Yeah, that's looking funny. What did Meg say to you? Multiple Megs in the next cell. He said, I can smell your cunt. I see. Well, I myself cannot. Crazy.
That's a great fucking movie. I can't believe we haven't talked about
Yeah,
it.
we'll talk about it.
Although, like I said, it's I would probably just recite the whole thing because I've
Yeah.
like seen it so many times.
Actually, I liked Hannibal Rising.
That was a good one
That
too.
was a real good one, yeah.
That
That was a classy ass fucking movie. It was
a classy ass.
It was a European movie. It was all historically correct. The guns, the tanks, the World War II stuff. It's a good movie. I liked it. It was a crafted movie.
Not like one of those just thrown together pieces. Of shit.
No, that movie was made with love.
Yeah.
It was. That was a
Yeah, Tila says Silence of the Lambs is in my top 5 of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
T, if you haven't seen Hannibal Rising, man, you need to see that one. That was when Hannibal.
They were all good.
That's when Hannibal was a kid. How he became that. It's pretty good. How he identified with samurai. How they were head takers. They would cut people's heads off to get paid, because that's how you got paid from your liege lord. You had to prove that you scored kills in combat. The only way to prove that was heads. Man, but the thing is dudes were cheating. They were cutting the heads off of dead bodies that other people killed, and then they'd sometimes betray their friend and cut his head off to get the money.
Well, yeah, I mean, anytime there's money involved, heads, you're gonna see that.
Yeah,
I mean, you know.
Yeah, feudal Japanese fucking combat was corrupt. You gotta fucking read the history to know that it wasn't. Sounds cool on the surface, but they cheated a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Hannibal Rising, haven't seen that one yet. Added to watch list. Somebody mentioned.
Oh man.
Somebody mentioned Manhunter too, which actually I saw a long time ago and I loved it. And it's like I want to watch.
Hannibal Rising's the second best one. I put that right there with Hannibal with the first one, Silence of the Lambs. Better in some ways. I like it better. It's an origin story. It feels kind of like an evil Batman, really, because he's kind of a hero in it, trying to get vengeance for what happened to his sister Misha. I ain't gonna fucking spoil it. You'll see it. And so he saw himself as a hero.
Don't all the villains see themselves as, hey, there's Louis.
Yeah,
Good
Louis
evening,
back there.
everyone.
Louis, you want to show your ass up in here? Okay. All right.
You missed Dennis and everything.
Yeah. Dennis was here. He left.
He might come back later. We'll see. Because we're talking about serial killers.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, like I said, so Danny Rolling is confessing to the crimes, but indirectly. Like, he's confessing to the crimes through somebody else. Like, the other guy is describing everything, and he's been like, yeah, I totally did that. One thing that he said, and I don't think I believe this, but he said, my original plan back when I was in prison in the 80s was I was going to kill, like, my goal, right? It's good to have goals. Was that he was going to kill 8 people because that was how many years he had spent in prison. So it was kind of like a thing. Because, like I said, we'll get into this later, but he probably killed those 3 people in Shreveport too. So 3 people in Shreveport, 5 people in Gainesville. That's 8 people. I don't think that he actually planned to kill any number of people. I think he just did it and he wasn't thinking about it. And then he got caught. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I don't think he had any. I don't think he had a fucking plan or anything. Oh, you're gonna miss the best part. Okay. Yeah. So, like I said, I don't think that that's true. I don't think he had a plan to kill 8 people or anything like that. Also, at this session, he also said that it wasn't, because remember earlier I said he said that, oh, I have this evil side. Okay, well, he kind of said that it's not me that's doing this. I have this essentially evil alter ego called Gemini. Now, you guys probably have seen Exorcist 3, right? So had the cops. So the cops knew that from various investigation and stuff like that. Some of them had seen Exorcist 3, and they also knew that Danny Rolling had just seen Exorcist 3 also, pretty much around the same time the murders had taken place or shortly afterward. So they're like, yeah, we know that that's where you got the idea, because in that movie, if you haven't seen it, the killer is named Gemini, and actually he does some of the same types of mutilations that Danny Rolling did with the beheading and disemboweling and all that kind of stuff. So he tried to fob off his crimes on an evil alter ego named Gemini that he got from Exorcist 3. So there you go. Now, after this took place, like after this confession, Bobby gets moved to another ward. And at this point, I guess Danny got like pissed off at him because he's like, oh, well, you just kind of used me to get, I don't know. I guess he thought that Bobby was like kissing ass with the cops so he could like get moved to a better area. I don't really know. But so then he takes up with this other dude named Rusty Binstead, which is a terrible name, but whatever. And to this guy, you missed the part where I said that Danny Rolling tried to blame the crimes on an evil alter ego called Gemini, just like in Exorcist 3.
Okay, yeah. Like a Zodiac. It's like a Zodiac. Yeah. It's like a Gemini, right? It was a ripoff of the Zodiac. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah,
it was Exorcist 3. He had just seen Exorcist 3, so that's why he's
right. Just in case they might be apt to believe some shit like that.
Well, no, because the cops were like, yeah, we saw
They're like, yeah, we saw that movie.
We saw that movie. Nice try. But, yeah. So he starts hanging out with this other dude, Rusty Binstead. And he does essentially the same thing. Like, I'm going to give you all the details of all these horrible crimes I committed. But this time he wrote it all down. So he writes it all down in a letter. He gives it to Rusty. He's like, make a copy of this and then give me the original back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what Rusty did was that he went back to his cell and then he like waits 5 minutes and then he yells shakedown and then he starts flushing the toilet because he wanted Danny to think that he had flushed the letter down the toilet so like the authorities wouldn't find it, except really he kept it. So
I see you in there, Louie. What's up, bro?
Yeah, he just got here.
Yeah.
Rusty,
you want to show up and shit. Show up towards the end of the show after I already did all kinds of funny shit and you missed it. You can go back and watch the shit recorded.
Well, the drunker you get, like, you'll probably get funnier at some point.
That's gonna be all right.
That's what you always say. So 3 weeks before the trial, Danny asks to meet with his attorney. Why don't you stay in here, Pook? It's hot outside.
She's pulling on you. What's that?
She just likes to pull on things.
No, she's like, yeah, let's go. Okay, let's go.
You better go this
It's getting
time.
dark, so she wants to go.
I mean, you know, we'll see how it goes. Her little friend came by last night. I woke up at 2 or 3 in the morning and I heard me, like outside the window. And it's weird because like the kitty, the other kitty, the one that looks like Pookie that has a tail, it's like she comes to the back porch and calls her, but then like Pookie just runs to the window and stares at her. Like she doesn't call to her, she doesn't do anything. It's like really weird. They have like the weirdest relationship. Okay, so Danny Rolling like meets with his attorney 3 weeks before the trial is supposed to start. And he says, I want to plead guilty. Now, his lawyer, as most of them would, said, yeah, no, there is a lot of evidence against you. I'm not going to say that, because there was. And, you know, you did that confession and the letter and everything, you know, the confession that was videotaped and the letter that you wrote down, and you said that you did all this stuff. And also they have a bunch of other, you know, physical evidence. But they said maybe, you know, there's mitigating factors. You got abused, this, that, and the other. So maybe you'll be able to worm your way out of a death sentence, but not if you plead guilty. And that's what the defense attorney essentially said, like, that they wanted to do. They said, look, you know, you come from a family that was like very abusive. Your dad was very abusive. You know, you had all these terrible things happen to you. So we could use that, like, to just get you life in prison. I mean, he was going to get life in prison anyway, just on the fucking burglary and armed robbery charges. So they didn't even really have to convict him of the murders. He would have still been in prison for the rest of his life, but they were, the prosecution was looking for the death penalty. So the defense were basically like, yeah, look, you're going to prison whether you like it or not, because you've already been like convicted of this other shit, but we could at least try to keep you from being executed. But you know, he's like, you wouldn't be able to like you wouldn't be able to appeal the conviction, I guess. So like that's the way the laws work. But at this point, like Danny was like, no, I still want to plead guilty. And he said the reason that he gave for wanting to plead guilty was he thought that if he had to go to trial, like in open court, that they would show photographs of the crime scenes and he didn't want anyone seeing them. And I'm not really sure exactly why. Like, I don't know if he was, like, ashamed of them. Or, like, he thought maybe his family would be there. And, like, they wouldn't. I don't really know, like, what his... This is what I mean. It's like he just had these really weird, like, thought processes. I don't really get why he thought, well, I'm just going to plead guilty because I don't want anybody seeing those photos. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the attorney was like, well, you know, I don't like the idea, but whatever. Just like think about it. There's still 3 weeks to go. Now, Danny, apparently he didn't change his mind though. So the week before the trial, he signs the form, and that was his official guilty plea. So basically that's what he did. So it was like kind of a last minute, you know, kind of thing, or, you know, just, I guess it saved everybody a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they still, ironically, they still have to have the thing where, you know, they come in there and he has to plead guilty and it's like the official whatever. But it wasn't like open court. There was no, you know, jury or anything. It was just like families of the victims were there. You know, some members of the public were there. Not much media, anything. None of Danny Rolling's family showed up because, you know, why would they? Now, somebody brought this person up before, but they said the only person that was there that was on his side was Sandra London, who was his fiance. Now, she and Danny, I guess they had struck up a friendship. She is one of those kind of like serial killer groupies that like kind of starts writing to him in prison, but she's a true crime writer as well. And so I think that her whole thing was she was trying to get shit out of him and like get a book out of him. So they authored a book together. I think it was called The Making of a Serial Killer or something like that. And they wrote that together, and I don't know, did they ever get married? I can't remember, but they were like engaged for a while. And she would like defend him all the time, and he would like defend her all the time, and how much he loved her and all this other kind of stuff. It was super, super weird, like that whole fucking situation. And I mean, honestly, I'm not saying like he's a piece of shit too, but and who cares what the fuck happened to him, but you know, she was just trying to get the story out of him and get a book written and make some money off it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just that kind of situation. But she was the only one that showed up. So basically, yeah, so he pleaded guilty to the 5 murders. He later came forward, I think before his execution, he later came forward and said that he had done the murders in Shreveport as well, the triple homicide of the family. But I don't think nobody ever brought charges against him for that because he was already in prison for all of the other fucking things he did. So what?
How many total was it that he killed?
5 that he was convicted for, and probably 3 more.
Okay.
And that's that they know of.
And out of that 5, one of them he cut the head off.
Yes.
It was the head and the nipples off the same one, or was it nipples
Yes.
off another one? Okay.
Head and nipples off the same one, and the first 2 girls also had breast mutilations.
He was a boob
of
dude.
a similar
boob
nature.
Man. Weird. And
And the 3rd victim was not mutilated, but that's because the maintenance man opened the door, like probably while he was still there.
Okay.
And so he got, just like Jack the Ripper, he got run off.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know what he was planning on doing with that one. It probably would have been even worse.
It's funny he didn't confront a maintenance man. Must have been a big dude.
Well, I don't know if it was so. It's like, I think all he heard was the door open and close real quick.
He knew who it was.
And he didn't know who it was. Because he didn't, when the maintenance man came in, all he saw was the body and the bag. He didn't see the guy.
Kind of cowardly.
Yeah, he just, like, when he came back 5 minutes later, he noticed the door was locked and the bag was gone. So he's like, oh, the killer must have been there.
Raider would have just said, who was coming in here? And then when that dude walked in, Raider would have killed him.
Yeah, and Danny Rolling did kill one dude, but he killed the dude while he was sleeping.
Right.
His whole thing was he would jump on you with the combat knife and he would just, like, stab the shit out of you until...
While you were asleep a lot
While
of
you
time.
were asleep.
He was a Casper. It's cowardice. That's somebody who can't face anybody else.
The dude did wake up. Manny did wake up because there were a lot of defensive wounds on his arms.
Yeah.
But he had been stabbed so many times by that point that he was just bleeding out.
I've seen photographs of him. He just doesn't look like a man of physical courage in any way. You know, he just looks
No.
Like no. It's just fucking. I find these motherfuckers slimy. They rape and kill people, but at the same time, in this particular case especially, kind of afraid of facing a person while they're awake.
Yeah, they're much more like, hey, I want to sneak up on a motherfucker.
Sneak up on you, get an advantage, and kill you quickly. Yeah, weird. Not weird. It's not weird. It's understandable. It's a sign of weakness. Other serial killers fucking won't do it that way.
Yeah.
Keep them around, point guns at them, fucking torture them for a while.
It's fucked
I mean,
up.
they would deal with them face to face. But this is a dude who doesn't really want to. Ridgway was like that. He couldn't deal with them face to face. He had to strangle them from behind.
And I don't really know. It's like, this dude, Danny Rolling, also grew up in a really, really abusive household as well. Apparently, like I said, his dad was a cop and used to, like, beat up on him and his mom and everything like that. And I don't know. And so I kind of feel like it's weird because, but I feel like a lot of these types of serial killers, and this is something that we've seen in a lot of different, shows that we've done, is that a lot of times when these serial killers are kids, and a lot of them are abused by their dads, for whatever reason, when they get older and start killing people, they always take their rage out on women. And I think it's because, maybe to some extent, yes, it may be because women are more available or they're, physically smaller or whatever. But I think some of it too is they seem to, like you said, not be able to face another man, so they can't get back at their dad because he's the same size. So they kind of displace their rage onto their mom because mom didn't protect me from dad. And I kind of feel like that was the situation here.
Cam Guy says there was a bank shootout in Los Angeles where 2 perps were walking around and stopped traffic. I think he's talking about, what was that, the West Los Angeles shootout of the 90s that had...
you wanted to do a show about that.
I wanted to do a show on about it.
Yeah, it's in my topic.
Yeah, that's a very interesting case. I think the movie Heat was slightly based on that in a certain way. They were just some brazen bank robbers. One dude, his name was Emil. And he had a pretty cool custom-made AR-15. They were both bodybuilders. Those dudes were fucking 200 and something pounds, both of them. 6'1", 6'2".
Well, didn't we see that other movie that was kind of based on that?
I think so. What other movie?
Wasn't Pain and Gain kind of based on that
No,
a little bit?
that was
Or
on
no,
another
no, no,
game.
no. That was
No.
there was something else I was thinking of.
No.
Oh, thank you, Mango. Has
What?
Raider gone away? Can I come out the closet yet? Hail to the always amazing chat.
Yeah. Thank you very much. How much did he? It was a $20.
That's 25 pounds.
25. Thank you very
25
much.
pounds. Thank you very much.
Mega. The yeah, I wanted to do. It's called the West Hollywood Shootout. I think is what it was called. They hit several banks. That was just the one they got caught at. They were fully armored with body armor and everything, and they went toe to toe with the LAPD. And there's a lot of shit. I watched that shit live as it happened, and there was a lot of testimony from people that were there at the time, and the testimony wasn't recorded. The shit that Emil and stuff was saying, because I went back to see it, and they censored it a lot. They were using psychological warfare against the fucking cops. Fucking every time the cops would shoot at him, Emil would turn at him with that fucking AR-15, start fucking opening up on him, and every time he fired, he would say shit like, get down, and he would use, I guess you could say, a slur against gay people that starts with an F. And he would faggot, he would call the cops faggots as he was fucking shooting at them. And he was fierce motherfuckers. They were on all kinds of performance-enhancing drugs, and I think it was methamphetamine. It would amp them, or no, I think they did methamphetamines, but then right before the robbery, they would take a bunch of sedatives to try to chill themselves out, and they were like in this weird drug equilibrium. That's a really interesting case. It's a good thing you bring that up. We need to do a show on that.
Yeah, like I said, I know it's on the topic list because
Yeah.
I remember when you said it. And
I remember watching it live and hearing people in the news saying what they were saying and everything. They were big dudes, very intimidating. They would go into a bank and bitch slap people around and fucking shoot the money, and fucking, they were takeover robbers. Totally inefficient, totally unprofessional, and they got killed eventually. I mean, that's not how you rob a bank. It was just how they imagined you rob a bank. They were bodybuilders on fucking a bunch of roids, and they loved guns, and they hated California because California banned guns, and that was part of their vengeance. Just interesting dudes. They didn't kill anybody. That's the weird thing. They didn't kill anybody. But they put a lot of people in danger. They shot people, but they lived. Yeah. Good. That'll make a good show.
Yeah, we should probably do that.
Yeah.
I can put that when I get back. I'll put it at one of the polls.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, it's not going to be polls this week because I'm going to be gone. So we already recorded everything.
I give those two a fucking A+ for balls, but kind of like C- for brains. They have balls, but they didn't have
All
brains.
balls and no brains.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty
Kind
much
of dumb.
Kind of. So yeah, so even though Danny's defense attorney, like I said, he did plead guilty, but his defense attorney was trying to argue at this point, like I said, he was already going to get life in prison anyway, because of all the armed robbery charges. The only argument they were making is not giving him the death penalty. So they were trying to argue mitigating circumstances. Shit like he was abused as a child. He had a history of drug and alcohol abuse. He showed remorse, sort of. You know what I mean? Also, even though Danny had pleaded guilty because he didn't want the crime scene photos shown to the court or shown to the public or whatever, the prosecution still did that anyway. So, that's what I mean. Because the prosecution was trying to get the death penalty. So they're like, well, we need all this ammunition against him. So we're going to show what the fuck he did. Right. And they also had all the, like I said, all the physical evidence. They did find out that his DNA matched, the semen that they found at 3 of the sites. Like I said, they found, the screwdriver that matched the shit. They found duct tape that also matched, the sticky residue, at some of the, sites. Also, they found at the campsite, they found a pair of pants that had Manny's blood on it, which was the 4th victim. So, and, like I said, all the fucking shit that they found. So at this stage, so the prosecution's arguing, yeah, we should kill this motherfucker because these crimes were particularly what they call heinous and cruel. meaning that, you know, he did a lot of the stuff post-mortem, but you have to imagine he bound these women, he raped them before he killed them. You know, and then he leaves the bodies in these fucking horrible positions, like cuts pieces off of them. It's just like fucking Jesus Christ. So, it didn't actually take all that long for them to decide that they were going to give him the death penalty, even though they told the whole story. I think that his mom showed up and kind of gave a little bit of the backstory about how abused he was, because like the mom kept leaving the husband and like having to come back and shit, and it was apparent it was not a fun time, I'm sure, but I think in the end they decided that really didn't mitigate the brutality and just randomness of these fucking crimes that he committed, which, like I said, he just committed for no fucking reason. He just decided to one day, and that's what he fucking did. So they did actually end up executing him in, I believe it was 2006. He finally went to it wasn't an electric chair. They did, what do you call it?
Gas?
No, it was lethal injection. Lethal
Right.
injection. I couldn't remember the word. Lethal injection. And they said he didn't have any last words, but that some of the victims' families turned up to see him executed. And I remember when that happened too. That was 2006. And they said that he just kind of looked at them, like at the people, like watching the execution, and then he started singing like a hymn or something, like as he died. Isn't that weird? It's like he's just like a fucking weird ass fucking dude. Like I said, I can't get a handle on his personality. He just seems like somebody that's not there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
He sound to me. I don't want to fucking fuck the show up, but he's kind of a boring serial killer in terms of, like you said, there's no real personal flair there. He's workmanlike. There's just no individuality to this motherfucker.
Well, I mean, it was just
he
like
had no signature.
The shit that he did was horrible.
Yeah, but who is he?
But yeah, he didn't. Yeah. Maybe that's why he didn't capture the public imagination, right. Even though the shit that he did was just as bad as the shit that Bundy did. Yeah, like fucking leaving people's heads, looking at their headless bodies and shit. Jesus fucking Christ, cutting people's nipples off and shit.
It could be that that this case may be a victim of media blackout, where there was a bunch of shit that he said, but we don't know about it, and it was never released to the media. So maybe the case never really got sensationalized. I don't know.
I don't think it's that. Much? No? He did. Yeah, he did. He blabbed every single detail of the crimes, like to several people, on tape, in letters.
He's just everything. Another one.
I think like you said, this is fucked up to say, but I think there's even like a celebrity aspect to serial killers. Because we've done shows about some serial killers that did shit that was just as horrific as some of the other more famous ones, but they didn't get famous for whatever reason. And I think maybe it has something to do with not necessarily the brutality of their crimes or how horrible they were, because a lot of them were, because like I said, these crimes were fucking horrible. He did shit that was just as bad as what Ted Bundy did. But he just, I don't know, he just wasn't like a media sensation, I guess. Yeah. Like he didn't have enough flair or enough like personality or something. I know it's a fucked up thing to say, but that's kind of the only thing that I can think of.
Well, you know, you got to be fair, and he may have been a product of the time. A lot of the classics that we use as kind of like as a benchmark came from the 60s and 70s and the 80s, when it was kind of a newer feeling phenomenon in the mass media. I mean, they've caught some guys in the past couple years that you don't hear about anymore. They had some dude that was keeping a girl in a damn storage crate, chained up in there. And there were a couple other girls buried nearby. And he got busted. They saved the girl. They got him out of there. And you don't hear anything about that dude. And he was just out in the country somewhere. It's almost kind of like maybe there's media fatigue or societal fatigue
It could
when it comes to this.
And the thing about it too is I feel like when these crimes first happened, and I remember this because like I said, I'm from here, when they didn't know who it was, the shit was all over the news because it was gory, it was graphic. It's like people got beheaded, their nipples got cut off. It's like, that's gonna sell papers, I hate to say. But once they kind of found out who, I think maybe too, because in this situation, because for a long time they were so used, they thought it was that other dude. You know what I mean? For a while. So maybe they kind of wasted all their outrage on that guy, like when they thought it was that guy, and then like later they're like, oh, never mind, it's not that guy, it's this other guy, and they were like, meh, we don't care anymore because it had already like fucking passed by. Maybe that's why too, just because they thought it was someone else for so long. Thank you. No need for me to. Question for all.
It's a $4.99 super chat, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You always read out how much it was.
Well, I don't know. I don't like to do that. But if you had to choose the way you'd be executed, what would you pick? Me, firing squad, or guillotine? Guillotine, no fucking way. I have a thing about beheading. I don't like that.
It's kind of a crazy question if you understand the details of death row. Those dudes go on death row. They'll be there for fucking years, sometimes decades, here in the United States. They're doped up from the day that they get in there. They keep them on all kinds of sedatives. Before the execution date, they start increasing their medications a lot. So they're very calm. I mean, they had one dude saying, they asked him what he wanted for his final meal, and he fucking ordered all this shit, you know what I mean? And they brought it to him. And a dessert and everything. It was just like a strawberry sundae. And they walk him out to get executed. He didn't eat the sundae. And he says, what about that? And he goes, oh, I'll eat it when I come back. There was no coming back.
He was kind of mentally challenged, though.
But, and he was fucking also doped up. I'll eat it afterwards. Just,
They're like, okay.
The best one is the one that they give you. It would be lethal injection.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like it would be really like, because it would be like going under anesthesia.
Yeah, just understand.
And I've gone under anesthesia before, and it's just kind of like, ooh.
It's multiple injections, and the first one just fucking knocks you out. And then they start giving you multiple lethal injections of a bunch of different things on top of that. So the first one doesn't kill you. The first one just renders you unconscious. So they know that as they're being executed, that the first one doesn't kill you. So they don't see their deaths coming. They see the sleep coming. They're going to die later. So it kind of gives them a psychological out.
Yeah.
That's the best way to go.
And I mean, some people would argue because of the shit that, and actually, and particularly this case too, because if you remember when Ted Bundy got executed, there was like a huge thing. People were having like Bundy barbecue, like outside the fucking prison or whatever. Similar thing happened with this guy in 2006 when he got executed, even though it wasn't the electric chair. Ted Bundy got the electric chair, I think.
Yeah.
But I think.
I don't know why you'd want the electric chair.
Well, that's what we used to have.
They didn't give him a choice of anything.
No, there wasn't a choice back then. It was Old Sparky or nothing. That's what they used to call it, Old Sparky. But yeah, we went to lethal injection. I can't remember what year. I'd have to look on Wikipedia. I remember when it happened, but I can't remember what year it was. I'm getting old. Everything's fuzzy. But I don't even remember what I was saying, where I was going with that. But what I was going to say was that, it was the same thing where a lot of people came to the shit and they interviewed. Because I read a whole bunch of articles, like from New York Times and stuff, when they executed him, and they interviewed a lot of the victims' families. And most of the victims' families had come to see the execution, but a lot of them said the same thing. It's like his death was so easy, like compared to their loved ones, and they didn't really like that. Because they're like, he just went to sleep singing a hymn. Tila asked earlier if he came from a religious background. Yes, he did. He was actually pretty... His family was kind of religious, and then he was kind of pretty active in the church and that kind of stuff. So yeah, he was. There's
a good one from my friend Gramthars from Trenton.
Thank you, David.
Read what Gramthars said from Trenton.
A friend of mine from Trenton is a prison guard at the Huron Valley Psychiatric Prison in Ypsilanti. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Michigan, he says it's a cake job. All the inmates are on Thorazine.
Yeah, Thorazine turned you into a damn living zombie.
Well, I mean, you have to understand that it's like, well, people have to work there around those people, and it's like, so you want to keep them as fucking calm as possible. I don't blame them for putting on that shit.
Got a $2 super chat from David Jim. If I had more, I'd donate more. Love y'all. We love you too.
We love you too.
All right. Make sure to send your information. We'll send you a shirt.
Yeah, I got you written down. But yeah, so I don't know. I just, like I said, I'm glad I finally got to cover this case because this is one that I remember happening in real time. And it's just funny because when I was saying the shit before about maybe why this dude isn't so remembered is because there was that other suspect for a long time that was just splashed all over the media. And I think people remember that guy more, like I said, because his face was all scarred up, And I even remember back from that time period when that happened and everybody being like, oh, there's the guy, they got him. And then it was a long time before it kind of was sorted out that it's like, oh, it wasn't him and it was this other dude. And I think everybody had gotten so used to the first guy being the killer, even though he wasn't, that when the real killer got caught, they were just kind of like, you know what I mean? It's just kind of like the thing where, if you print some shit, like, back in the old days when they used to print shit in newspapers, right? If you print some shit in big type on the front page, and then the next day you figure out that was wrong and they have to print a retraction, and then they always print the retraction like in this little bit, nobody's going to remember the retraction. They're always going to remember the big shit that was on the front page. And people always kind of remember the first thing that they heard. And then if they hear like other contradictory shit later, they don't remember it. So I think maybe that had something to do with why this guy isn't quite as famous like as Ted Bundy. Not only because he's kind of a non-entity with no personality, but also because that other dude was a suspect for such a long time and was splashed all over the media. And by the time they caught the real guy, everyone had already kind of like forgotten about it because they thought, oh, I thought they caught that guy already.
T asks, what state still has the guillotine? I don't think any state has the guillotine.
I don't think any state has the guillotine anymore.
Guillotine, they might have.
I don't even remember when. Did any states? I'm sure maybe one, but I don't even think one state had the guillotine.
If a state in the Union had the guillotine, it would be Louisiana. Because they had French law. They still have French law. It's called Napoleonic law.
But I don't even think they ever had it, did they?
They probably didn't have it.
I don't think they did.
They
not that I remember.
Though.
Some places did have hanging.
Hanging was the most common one.
Yeah, especially out west.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And hanging evidently is instant death. It's not like they hang you and you choke to death. They drop you through a hole in the ground and you fall about 5 feet and it just snaps your neck. And
it's supposed to. That doesn't always happen, though.
Evidently, it kills them. It knocks them out.
Because I've heard of some criminals that got that and it didn't break their neck, so they just basically hung there and suffocated, and it took a long time.
Maybe
and choked and took a long time. It does hapen.
I think in general, everything I heard that it killed them instantly. It knocked them out because it broke their neck. It basically tears the head off of the body, but it doesn't fall free. But it dislocates the damn spinal cord. It's supposed to be pretty traumatic. Fucks you, you know what I mean? It's just like guillotine. The guillotine, the worst part of the guillotine would probably put your head in that fucking thing. And then when they pull that trigger, to hear that blade falling and coming for you. Because
that'd be horrible.
I've seen videos of it. France was using it up into the time of even fucking that they had film. I think they did it. I think they were guillotining fucking Vichy, French after the German occupation. I think they killed some of them with
DC says 1977 was the last guillotine execution, but I don't know where that was though.
I saw it. I saw films of it. You can see it on YouTube probably. And it was black and white, so I think it was 40s. It's fast when it falls, but you know that dude was fucking screaming as that damn blade was coming down. Now, there was some question even back in the 1700s during the French Revolution of whether or not that killed you instantly. And they had bets, and they even had medical doctors and scientists trying to figure out if that was killing you.
Yeah, I read a whole book about that shit.
So what they would do is
that's what I do.
Yeah. They had some guys that would go to these executions and stand by that bucket in that basket.
Yeah.
And when the head fell in the basket, they'd pick it up and start talking to it. And
slap it.
Slap it in
their
they'd
face.
slap it and see if the eyes would open. And it only opened a couple times. One doctor said it opened a couple times, and the eyes did look at him. And but then they closed again. One time, the eyes looked at him and the mouth moved. I think what happened is that when you take a head off the body that quickly, blood pressure drops rapidly. Very rapidly, which would render you very unconscious. You definitely wouldn't feel it. It'd feel like being hit by a truck, probably. You'd be stunned. And I don't think you'd be conscious. I think it was nerves, basically.
Well, I guess there's really no way of knowing.
No way of knowing. Well, it's the rapid depressurization is something that makes me wonder.
I don't think it could ever be rapid enough for me, though.
The blood pressure drops fucking instantly.
God, that'd be fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Well, the thing about it is that it wouldn't even be so much the actual shit as like the thinking about it beforehand.
That'd be the worst part. The worst part is to be tied up and have them lay you down on that bench and slide you forward, and your head to go in that damn dished out thing, and them to fucking put that wooden section over the back part of your head, and your head being trapped in there, knowing that the next thing that happens is that blade falls.
Yep.
And then to hear that blade falling on the track, like a train coming, pap. But if you ever been punched, or if you ever been fucking hit, or motorcycle accidents, shit like that happens so fast, you're not really aware what the hell's going on. You know what I mean? You survive it, you're like, what the hell?
I like to think like your brain most of the time.
Yeah.
If it knows that you're gonna go through something like some bad shit.
Yeah, you're freaking out.
It usually, well, I mean, sometimes it'll kind of like, because you know how sometimes like people be in car accidents and stuff, and then later, they'll be like, I can't remember anything.
Yeah.
That's kind of your brain's gift to you.
Yeah.
Is because it's just better. Some things are just better not to remember. I'm just saying that as long as I can remember, I have been fascinated / horrified by beheading. Losing any limb really kind of like freaks me out, which is why, like I said, when we were talking about that Michael Caine movie, The Hand, I said that's why that movie always freaked me out, because I could think about that happening, like sticking your hand out the window and get your hand cut off by a truck or whatever. And that scene in The Omen where David Warner gets his head cut off by the pane of glass, that used to scare the shit out of me as a kid. Because I first saw that movie when I was like 7 or 8, and I was just like, no! Oh my God, that scared me so bad. So I was always, but then the weird thing about it is that it like terrified me, but I always wanted to like read about it. Like, you know, the whole shit about it. Who was it? Like Mary Queen of Scots or whoever. Yeah. And they were doing her execution and it was like, it wasn't even the guillotine. It was a big room, and they were just going to have like the executioner come with the axe or whatever. And he missed. Well, he didn't miss. He hit her, but it didn't cut her head off, and she was still conscious. And that story just fucked me up, because that's all I could think about was her laying that shit on the block, and then him doing that and being like, I didn't get it quite, and she was just like, fuck me, that sucked. Yeah. And then he cuts her head. It's like, ugh, that's awful.
Louis says, I've seen videos of the Mexican cartels decapitating people with a chainsaw. I saw one video where they took the chainsaw, and they had 2 dudes and a woman tied up, the hands behind the back. They just went up that chainsaw, and they just on the neck, just cut a few inch slice in the top of the neck with a chainsaw. Then they just they bled out and died. Saw that. The one that really fucked, there were 2 videos that are kind of like that fucked me up. One of them was something from, I think, Bosnia-Herzegovina during that damn Bosnian Civil War, where a dude jumped on a dude. They had a dude tied up to a chair. They knocked that chair over and jumped on top of him. Dude took a fucking bayonet. I don't know if they were mercenaries or soldiers. The guy was wearing a uniform. Took a bayonet and slowly shoved it through the side of a guy's head, and that dude fucking screamed through that whole fucking thing. That was back in the 90s. But that one was like, whoa. Another one is where a cartel guy, they had a woman tied up. He tells the camera, this is what happens to rats. You know, she ratted us out. This is what happens to rats. And he had just a buck knife. And she was tied up. And he fucking got up next to her and started cutting her head off with a buck knife. And he went in slowly like that and just cut her head off while she was alive. And what was really fucking freaky, I had to wince and look away and say, oh, like, damn. And what was weird about it is that she didn't make a fucking peep. She was like a trooper. She just gritted her teeth and just fucking leaned into it. She didn't give that dude an inch. Didn't even fucking scream. Just...
I mean, as horrible as that is, you gotta admire balls.
Yeah,
like
she had
She's
some
like,
fucking balls.
I'm not giving you the satisfaction.
Didn't give him nothing. He went
even
in
though
there
you're cutting
slow,
my fucking head off.
and then he fucking separated the vertebrae and then went in through the other end and fucking cut that head off. And he knew what he was doing. He'd done it before, evidently. It didn't take him long to do it. And she didn't make a fucking peep. She's just gritting her teeth and... Oh, man, that was weird.
That's horrifying.
Yeah.
I'll repeat
She
it.
evidently worked with him. She was a cartel member. But she didn't give that dude a fucking... Didn't give that dude any satisfaction. She just leaned into it. That was just
Hero.
weird. Yeah.
Hero. Although I'm gonna repeat a comment that I saw earlier on some article about something. I don't remember what it was, but somebody just commented very briefly, humans were a mistake. I mean,
you have to understand that man is a killer ape. That's what they are. They're very intelligent.
No shit.
They're very intelligent, very creative. There's a lot of beauty in it. But a lot of that creativity can be channeled towards the destruction of enemies. And it's not pretty. But gonna get all fucking Friedrich Nietzsche and Arthur Schopenhauer. Life is suffering. We suffer because we desire things, and we desire things that will eventually disappoint us. If we stop desiring these things, then we won't feel disappointment. And the only way to stop desiring things is to fucking reach nirvana, like enlightened indifference. And then Nietzsche comes along and says, well, fuck that. Fucking, if that's what life is, then fucking live your life and go down fighting for what you want and what you believe in. Okay? And that life is a struggle. It's a struggle against everything. Even time itself is hunting you down. You're going to die. So you might as well give it your all and have a fucking good time. And fucking, you know what I mean? Try to become as strong as you can. And
you're just like, don't cut anyone's head off, okay? Yeah.
No. But Nietzsche also says that everything is struggle between forces. One force is always trying to struggle against an opposing force. So conflict is one of the things of life. Because whenever you have something, everything you have is things that you're taking away from someone else. Even the clothes on your back are clothes that other people may need to fucking keep themselves alive in cold weather. Existence itself is wrong because you impose on other things just by merely existing. So don't try to live a righteous life and a fair life, because life itself is unfair. Your existence imposes on other things. Get over it and live your fucking life. That's the lesson of it.
Sounds like an excuse to just like be an asshole, though.
That is not at all. That is not at all what
I'm just fucking
that is
with
not
you,
at all what he says. Says that
I'm just fucking with you, John.
fairness
Don't get
is-
all serious.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to say something that is important. You know what I mean? Don't worry about things. Live your life. There is always someone somewhere else that is suffering. You can't help them, even though you want to. Live your life. Don't worry about the sufferings of others, or it'll spoil yours. Help them if you can, but you can't help everybody. That's not the way the world is. Right now, there are people suffering and dying in fucking secret prisons and shit. Perverts with little children captive, but you don't even know where they are. You can't help them. Don't let that bother you. That's what Arthur Schopenhauer would have said. So don't let it bother you. You can't control that. Live your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Vashti was saying that they just learned that you can suffer from internal beheading.
Internal beheading.
So you look fine. It's only the soft tissue that's holding your head on.
Yeah.
You look fine, but your head has actually been removed from your spine.
Yeah, hanging would do that.
Yeah, I can see that.
Right, that's kind of what I was talking
Man, that's
about.
fucked
It
up.
pops your head off.
Yeah,
it breaks your spinal cord.
Although, like I said, there have been multiple cases, of criminal
People living.
Of people who, it didn't break their
it.
neck. It didn't break their neck.
Yeah, but they die anyway.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying it doesn't break their neck, though.
In the old West, sometimes they would fucking look and the dude was kicking too much. They just grab his legs and pull on him harder. So he would strangle the guy. If you've ever been choked out during a wrestling match, it doesn't take long to choke somebody out into unconsciousness. 5 seconds maybe. And
well,
it doesn't hurt.
humans are really not. We have our strengths, but you can kill us really, really easily.
Yeah.
Like in a ridiculous. You just put a fucking pillow over somebody's face for.
Most of those dudes that were hung, especially in the 1800s in the old West. I'm not gonna say Europe, because my understanding they were hanging people in England for minor offenses that you would never be hung for in the U.S. or even in the territories before, or even in the colonies. They wouldn't hang you for something that much.
Oh, they'd hang you for horse rustling.
Yeah, but that was the same as attempted murderer when you think about it. Under those conditions, if you stole somebody's horses, you were killing them basically because you couldn't survive on foot, or no white man could. The Indians could. So taking somebody's horse was a hanging offense, and that made sure that fucking only very hardcore offenders were willing to steal horses.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that was a survival item. Another thing is that a lot of those laws per se weren't laws. They're shown as kind of laws in those Wild West movies, but they weren't laws. They were in disputed territories out in the wild, and it was more like tradition.
Yeah.
You didn't need law. Only pussies need law. It's, I know you took my horse. I'm going to kill you. That's just the way it was. Like Mad Max.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what else? No Need for Me said I watched the monkey head transplant experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that too.
What about the two-headed dog transplant that the Russians did? That was fucking the dude in charge.
I have a harder time watching that than I do watching people get executed, to be honest with you. Anytime they're doing something to an animal, I'm just kind of like...
Yeah. Dude did that in Russia back in the 50s. Fucking, and then the dude in charge of that fucking program saw that happen. He's like, don't you ever fucking transplant another head on a dog ever again.
You knock that off.
Yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't really need to be said.
Yeah, you can do it. It's just that
hey,
don't
Sergey,
do it.
can we not
Yeah, don't do that shit.
sew two dogs' heads on this? Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks. Let's not do that anymore. Okay. I'm bringing him into the office to fucking tell him not to do it anymore. Oh my god, that's so fucking funny. In a fucked up way, that's really funny. Those Ruskies. Yeah, it's I don't know, man. The show's kind of bummed me out.
No, it's saying I'm just philosophizing, dude. No need for me saying time just preach on, brother. Yeah, of course.
What else is new? I've been working in the Kremlin with a two-headed dog, sure.
Yeah.
I see, it's just I don't know. I'm just really fascinated. Like I said, I've always been really fascinated with beheading and with people people getting their limbs cut off. Because I always thought that has to be the weirdest shit ever. Like getting your arm cut off, let's say. And in some horrible accident. And then you're laying there and it's this arm that was attached to your body, presumably your whole life, and now it's over there and it's not attached to you anymore. Now it's just an object. That's freaky to me.
Because you've never been through it.
Well, I know that, but I'm just saying that it's got to be freaky for anybody.
Well, they've had people that happened to them, and then they shook it off. Industrial accidents and stuff, hit by cars and trains.
Look at that girl that was surfing and she got her arm bit off by a fucking shark.
Yeah.
Man, that little girl was badass.
Yeah.
She was just fuck it, I'm going right back to surfing.
Yeah.
I was like, man, you go, little girl.
Let's see what everybody's saying.
Even though that's the most terrifying thing I could put. Well, one of the most terrifying things I can imagine. I was thinking, you know what I mean? You know what? I had a nightmare the other day. I guess because I was excited about, I'm excited about going to the alligator farm in St. Augustine next. I've been there before, but it's like really cool. They have other shit there other than alligators. They have other animals too. But I was like telling him, I was like, oh, I was so excited to go to the alligator farm. And I had a nightmare. I don't think I told you. I had a nightmare that we were walking through. It was weird because it was kind of like a jungle-y swamp area, but then it was also kind of like a car wash. Yeah. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? How car wash has like those cement bays. It was kind of like that. And then like in the middle of each bay, there was like a little shallow swampy deal. And then some of them had alligators in there. And then people were walking through there, even though you could walk around. And I didn't understand why people were walking through there when there was alligators, because some people were getting eaten. And then like we walked through one and there was an alligator. And for some reason we were there and you wanted to kill an alligator. So you grabbed it by the tail, and it was big, and you like grabbed it by the tail, and then you were like yelling at me that I needed to like bash it in the skull. And I was sitting there like, with what? Like, what? He's like, I didn't have anything to bash it. I was like, what? You want me to hit it? What are we doing? It's like, and you were just like kept yelling at me like to just hit it right now, like blah blah blah. And it was like its mouth was going like that, and you had it like the tail was like this fucking giant. And I was just like, what the fuck kind of dream was that? It was so fucking weird.
These are Jenny's fears about me. It's that we will be going somewhere and I decide to wrestle an alligator. I know why she's saying that, because I said I was going to wrestle that goddamn alligator for the show.
Probably.
We live near ponds.
Well, because that sounds like some shit you would do.
Yeah, she wanted me to do that. I can do that. I can do that. I know how to wrestle an alligator. I've caught small ones, never big one, but I can catch a pretty big alligator.
How much life insurance do you have?
They're not that fucking deadly. Now, the most danger from an alligator is the tail.
Yeah, I
It'll
know.
slap you with the fucking tail.
Yeah, and the tail is like very, very heavy.
You got to get upside of him, and fucking straddle him, and fucking grab the mouth, and fucking hold the mouth closed. They can't open the mouth if you got it closed. And you got to fucking drag them to the fucking side, tape the mouth shut, and then you can tape the fucking arms and legs behind its fucking body. But I would just like to fucking catch one for the show and show you guys me fucking catch an alligator.
I thought you were going to say me fucking an alligator.
What's that?
I thought you were going to say me fucking an alligator.
I'll fuck an alligator, get inside the alligator, and be like this to the alligator.
Leave an
like
alligator
this.
alone.
Shit on video. I'd be like,
I'm scared of
like
alligators. Look, I'm scared of alligators. They're scary.
But
don't fuck with alligators. You don't need to
they're
fuck
not.
with them.
I mean, they can get very dangerous once they're above fucking 6-7 feet, but
I've held baby ones.
Yeah.
Like
5, 6,
that like
5, 6, 7 foot alligator. That's not that bad, but when you start talking about 10 foot, 11 foot alligator, that's a lot of alligator. Okay. They're faster than you think they are. All right. But you're actually better off going after the alligator in kind of shallow water than you are on the ground. Because they can turn around pretty quick and they're fast. They can run forward pretty quickly. But I'm a full-grown man. They can't swallow a full-grown man. They might try, but
they could bite some of your limbs off.
They're But
like they did with that dude's hand that was like trying to feed. Remember that like that photo that went viral a few years ago of an alligator with a man's hand sticking out its mouth, and a lot of people thought it was fake, but it wasn't.
Yeah. Problem is that an alligator can't chew. All right.
Well, yeah, they can only like bite and swallow.
Yeah, and they won't swallow a fresh meat, and they won't swallow a fucking full-grown man. What they'll try to do is take you out into the water and roll. All right.
Well, they drown you and then they tuck you somewhere.
Right.
In the bread box. They save you for later.
Right. And then they let you rot. And then they can eat you. But they're usually not that combative, depending on how big they are. I mean, I've been right up next to 12, 13 foot alligator, bigger than the boat. Bigger than the boat. And they just kind of fucking emerge out of the water like a damn.
Look at you. Like
They just fucking kind of surface up next to the fucking boat while you're out there fishing. This is at Lake Clarko, Mississippi. And me and my dad were fishing off one side of the boat. We were at Lake Clarko, and I heard something go, pfft, and felt some fucking mist. And turned around, and there was like 13 foot alligator, fucking huge. I said, Dad, look. And he's sitting there and he goes, "Oh yeah, him. That fucker, he's always around here. He wants fish." And, throw some fish and eat the fish and then disappear for a while. Then he'll come back and ask for some more fish. And he's not in the boat, so he can't really hurt you. And they can't really get into the boat. It's not really geometrically
They
possible.
can maybe tip the boat over like Jaws. They tell in
Not
Florida,
really.
they're like, please, please, please do not feed alligators.
They can't really
For that
reach,
very
they
reason.
can't reach up out of the water. You know what I mean? They float, and there's nothing for them to press up against. All right. So that motherfucker sat there for another 5 or 10 minutes after we gave him some fish, and my dad says, "Get the fuck out of here!" and starts slapping him with the fishing rod. And he left and he didn't come back.
Yeah,
Fuck out of here!
I mean, we used to see him when we were at the springs, like canoeing and stuff.
Yeah.
Tila says, which is larger, a gator or crocodile? Crocodiles are generally larger.
Yeah, that's different though.
Biggest thing like that I've seen was a crocodile.
I think a crocodile might be more dangerous than an alligator.
Well, generally, there's a lot of different species of both.
Yeah.
Crocodiles are generally larger and they're generally more aggressive.
An alligator can get big though.
But alligators can also get quite large.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, the largest one of those I saw was a crocodile, and that was at the alligator farm, and his name was Gomek, and they caught him in New Guinea. He's dead now. I saw him when he was still alive, but they've since stuffed him because he was kind of famous. He was 25 feet, 27 feet, something like that. But it wasn't the length of him that was intimidating. It was the girth. That bitch. And like I said, I saw him when he was alive. He's stuffed now and he's still like pretty impressive. When he was alive, they used to have this thing where you would go, you could go look at him from up here, like in his enclosure. And then they had a thing underneath where you could look at him underwater. And he was as big around as maybe 5 people.
Yeah.
He was fucking massive.
Now it's an alligator, right?
No, a crocodile.
Okay.
He was fucking massive.
You gotta remember.
And he was old.
How old was he?
They don't know. They don't know how old he was when they caught him, because he was gigantic when they caught him.
Is this case over?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I want to say something about this shit. There's a really good series you need to watch. All y'all need to watch this shit. It's by this sexy motherfucker. You women will love this dude. His name is Jeremy Wade. It's called River Monsters.
I love Jeremy Wade.
Jeremy Wade is the real life Race Bannon. You got who's Race Bannon? Race Bannon was Johnny Quest's dad. He was the white haired. He's just like
he looks just like
Race
every
Bannon
time I see that
from
fucking
Johnny
show.
Quest. All right. He's an older guy in his 50s, in real good shape, of white hair. At least he was in his 50s at the time. He might have been early 60s, huh?
I don't know how old he is.
He was real good physical.
Have they done any new? Now I'm gonna go now, and now I'm drunk, and I'm gonna go look on
How old was
Netflix.
he then? It's on Netflix. It's called River
See if
Monsters.
they have any new river monsters.
And he's a specialist in fish. He went to fucking university for this shit. And what he would do is he would investigate these legends that were happening all over the world about...
He's 65, says Victor.
65 now, so he must be probably about 55 then, if not late 50s when else was going on.
Yeah, because he was kind of one of our regular shows that we would watch.
Yeah, and he's got a real cool accent. He was real physically fit. And he knew everything about fish. And he would researching and trying to uncover all these damn legends of fucking people like getting eaten by fish in certain ponds.
Sea monsters.
Well, it was all about rivers though. It wasn't sea monsters.
Yeah.
Rivers and ponds, and he goes there to catch these things and tries to either debunk or confirm these legends. I mean, he even went to the coolant ponds outside the Chernobyl reactor.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
To catch radioactive mutant catfish. And he did. He caught some mutant catfish. He goes down and tries to find these confirm or deny these reports of men being eaten by catfish in ponds. And it's just a badass series. There was at least, 4 or 5 series of that? It's called River Monsters.
Yeah, it was on a long time.
Right.
I mean, we watched like...
Wade will tell you they don't really know how big fish can get. Okay.
Well, especially catfish.
Yeah. And
some of the ones he caught were horrifying.
Yeah. Now I've shared videos of little Hannah Barron from Alabama. That's like kin of mine from fucking Mississippi area. And she'll go down and catfish noodle and pull out catfish about half her size. There's a trick to noodling, and I know exactly what they're doing. They're making good videos. She is doing it. There are woodcuts from Renaissance era Europe, 1600s, sometimes even 1400s, 1300s, not quite the Dark Ages, but Renaissance era. Back in the honky motherland. Showing woodcuts of pictures of food. And they have a big old pile of fruits and vegetables. Next to it, a damn cow. And next to that, a catfish. And the catfish is the same size as the cow. And some people have said, well, none of that's to scale. That's icons. But in that same area, there's reports of honkies being eaten by fucking fish out of the damn fucking pond. So Wade goes down there to try to fucking confirm or discount all these. And look, old school Europeans did not have fishing poles. They had nets. That was it. If you couldn't catch it in a net, there was no way to catch it except drain the damn pond. And there were accounts of them draining the pond and then fighting huge fish, and then they show the fish, and it's the size of a fucking cow. It's very plausible that if a fish lived, say, beyond 100 years old, that it would just continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. They didn't have rod and reel to catch it, and it was too big to catch in a net, and netting is difficult, okay? So the only way to catch the thing was drain the pond. And that thing might be 200 years old, and it might be the size of a cow. And when Wade confirms that they don't know how big they can get because none of these modern fish are living to the age that they used to live to.
And to be honest with you, some of the fish, the catfish that Jeremy caught on that show, were almost as big as the cow.
Yeah.
So I don't have a hard time believing that at all. Now,
some of my relatives are Cajuns living in Louisiana. And I remember my grandparents' generation. I'd go down there fishing, and people that were as old as my grandparents when I was a little kid, telling stories of a fish that we have down there called an alligator gar. A gar is like an eel, but it has a head on it like an alligator. And they would say, well, they're small now. Now the biggest ones are about 10 feet long. Back in the 20s and the 30s, they had these paddle boats that had these big electric shock systems on there, and they would hire them to go out there to kill gar. And some of the photographs of these gar were fucking amazing. These are 13, 14-foot gar. And then they were saying that they were bigger than that. So how old were these gar back in the 1800s? They were probably much bigger. Much bigger. You must be talking about 15, 16-foot gar, maybe? Giant. Now, would that eat you? No. Gars aren't aggressive. But they're scary looking. They were scared of them.
Well, they are pretty scary looking.
Yeah.
I've seen smaller ones in the springs, and it's like even the small ones are kind of...
Look like they tear you up.
Well, like I said, they're kind of like barracuda in the sense that they're not big, but they look pissed off all the time.
Yeah, just a fucking long, skinny fish with a long snout filled with razor, needle-sharp fangs going all the way down it. But they're not aggressive. They catch other fish. But maybe when they get to a certain size, they might catch a human. I don't know.
Well, I just kind of feel like once a fish gets to a certain size, I kind of feel like whatever will fit in their mouth is on the menu.
They're kind of slow.
And the thing about it, like I said, Jeremy Wade, he caught some catfish on that show that were easily big enough to at least swallow a dude's head or swallow a kid.
Yeah.
So,
Sammy says, I watch River Monsters. And
now that makes me want to watch River Monsters.
Yeah.
Man. Maybe I'll we'll go find like an old episode.
He says, "Oh, I see there's clips of Jeremy here on YouTube." Yeah.
That dude's so fucking funny.
Jeremy Wade rocks. That's what Mango said.
I know. I love that guy.
Yeah. We're gonna need a bigger boat. So Amanda Marie said that. Shit.
Oh my god, we just watched Jaws the other day. We did.
Yeah.
We recorded a review of it too. It'll be
says,
up
I
next
just
week.
clicked on his episode about piranha. He's freaking in the water with them.
Yeah. Well, he wanted to show that they weren't as deadly as everyone, because there were all these movies about like piranha, which we just talked about not too long ago. And he's like, they really, really have to be. There really has to be a lot of blood in the water. You're fine.
Yeah. Tammy said cows were smaller back in the day. They probably were.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
But the size of the fish that they're showing are bigger than a 150-year-old fish. There are every now and then a catfish that seems to be around 100-year-old. They're pretty fucking big, real big. Not as big as a shark, but pushing it.
Well, like I said, I've seen, and even nowadays, in our depleted age, I've even been horrified by some of the fish that Jeremy pulls out of the fucking river sometimes. Yeah. Because I can't believe how big that fucking shit is. Yeah. It could be, and we've kind of speculated this too about alligators and crocodiles, because they're not really sure what the outer edge of their lifespan is, like how long they can live. And they're not necessarily like humans where you just kind of get to one size and then you stay that size and then you die. Yeah. They just, if there's environment for them to live in and if there's food for them to eat, then they'll just keep growing. Yeah.
They're in there asking T to make her fucking Bloody Marys. You want another drink?
Sure.
All right, we'll have another drink. We'll talk a little while and then we'll end the show. But it's been a good show.
And go watch River Monsters.
People seem to be enjoying the show. Hold on, I'm making a drink.
Well, yeah, it's we got through the case, which is good. So now we can talk about some other stuff. Thank you so much. No need for me to. You guys got to get around to watching the Venture Brothers. I know. I have so many things I got to watch. I'll get to it eventually, I promise. It's just, I have such a long list of shit I got to get through. But we'll get around to it one of these days. But yeah, I don't know. I think I talked about this. Like I said, we recorded a review of Jaws, the classic, and it's going up next week when I'm on vacation. And I think one of the reasons that I love River Monsters so much, because this is some shit that I never really thought about. I went to, I swam in the ocean as a kid because I grew up like right on the fucking beach, right?
Oh, you got a super chat?
Yeah.
Okay, did you read it off?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. No need for me.
And so shit in the ocean always scared me.
Yeah.
But then I started watching River Monsters, and Jeremy Wade opened my eyes to something I'd never even thought of before. That you think you're safe swimming around in a fucking river because it's fresh water.
No.
But no.
No. Sharks.
They're horrifying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
South. In the South, you can get hit by a tiger shark in pretty shallow water.
And tiger sharks will eat
anything. In the Mississippi. In the Mississippi River and all its tributaries. You could be
They'll eat you and your car.
You can be in 5 foot of water in the middle of fucking Mississippi in a damn tributary of the Mississippi River and get eaten by a fucking bull shark or a tiger shark. They'll fucking bite you. They're out there.
Also, bull sharks.
It's rare. It's rare. It's very rare, but they're out there. People have caught them.
Most of the sharks that I saw growing up in Daytona was sand sharks. I think I saw a couple lemon sharks too, but it was mostly sand sharks. Yeah. I remember I took a marine biology class in high school. And one of the first things they showed, and I still remember this to this day, one of the first things that they showed us in marine biology, they were like, look, this is Daytona Beach. And they had taken a picture like from a helicopter or a drone or what. Well, they didn't have drones back then, but like a helicopter of Daytona Beach. Here's all the little happy people swimming at Daytona. And then 20 feet away, sharks. Just tons and tons of fucking sharks. There's tons of them. You could see them like in the fucking, because it wasn't that deep. You know what I mean? And actually, I've had smaller sharks like swim against my leg and stuff like that, just in knee deep, thigh deep water. So they're kind of out there. Like I said, sand sharks mostly, which are not horribly aggressive, and they're not huge, They're usually, they usually get maybe 5-6 feet, something like that, which is still terrifying. Sand sharks look terrifying because they have like a lot of their teeth are kind of like on the outside. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like inside and outside, so they look real ugly.
Louis said the Sixth Sense retrospective was great.
Oh, thanks.
And then no need for me said to Louis that Tom was super on point in that one. Yeah, we're gonna do the
Unbreakable.
we're gonna do Unbreakable. We're gonna do the whole superhero fucking trilogy.
Wait until you get Split, because we watched Unbreakable last night.
Yeah.
We saw Glass in the theater.
Yeah, never seen Split.
And then Split is the one in the middle, and he ordered it, but we haven't got it yet. So we'll probably do that as one, but it'll probably be after I get back from my vacation. We'll do that.
From the two movies that I saw, I thought M. Night Shyamalan's superhero trilogy was fucking great. I think it was a masterpiece. Unbreakable was a masterpiece. I don't give a fuck what Jay says. I love that fucking movie. You liked it?
Yeah.
I liked it. I think it's a masterpiece.
I think
everything.
We watched some of the some of the extras.
Yeah.
And M. Night said a really fascinating thing about Unbreakable. He said that I wanted the whole entire movie to be like the first act of a movie.
Yeah.
And I was wow.
Yeah.
That was like actually pretty insightful.
Yeah. He knew it was
he knew what he was doing. Yeah.
He knew it was an origin story.
And he was just like, I didn't want to be and it is kind of like a regular movie, but I could totally see what he was saying.
I saw Glass in the theater with Jenny.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, this is fucking awesome, because I had seen the first one already. I didn't know who the multiple personality character was, but you didn't have to. There was enough information right there.
Yeah, because that was Split. That was that whole thing. Yeah.
Right. But Mr. Glass was in there in the insane asylum. And I really liked the Mr. Glass character. Samuel L. Jackson, he knocked out a fucking park.
He was so good in this.
Yeah, he was good in the first
I love the way they said
we
wanted to make his hair look like Frederick Douglass.
Frederick Douglass hair.
And then I was like, yep, that's Frederick Douglass on it.
He didn't like it though.
He was like, yeah,
he's like, I didn't like the hair.
I thought it looked good.
It looked good. Yeah.
Victor says his new movie Old is coming out next month. Oh, I wanted to remind you too, they are making a sequel to Shazam.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
The sequel to Shazam?
Shazam, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to see that. I love that.
I mean, it's going to be a while. They just announced it today. I think it's going to be 2023. So it's going to be like a year.
Mango says Sixth Sense is one of the worst films ever. I had to disagree. There's a lot of bad films. That's not one of them. There's a lot of bad films. That's not one of the worst ones.
Yeah, I mean, I like other ones better. But watching it a second time, I developed I liked it the first time I saw it. I saw it in the theater. And I thought I had seen it since then, but I guess I didn't. So this was like the second time I was seeing it. And I was like, oh, this was actually better than I remembered. I just remember being pissed off because it came out, like I said, same time as Stir of Echoes. And it kind of like stamped that movie into the dust, which made me sad.
Louis said Unbreakable is my favorite. Yeah, that's a good one. I think it's great. I got it. Like I said, I got to see what's called Split. I got to see Split before I have my final verdict. But,
one of these days I'll sit down and watch Lady in the Water, because some of the people when it came out, I just heard everybody like shitting on it.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, well, I don't know if I would have wasted my money. And I read a synopsis. I'm like, wow, that sounds dumb. But I don't know. One of these days I'll sit down and watch it. Because like I said, I don't like to shit on movies I haven't seen necessarily. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, Tila said, yeah, we have to see Split. Dude, it's great. The James McAvoy was amazing in that movie.
It's on the way.
I like that actor. He's a really good actor.
It's on the way.
Yeah, Louis says Split is real good.
I liked his take on superheroes. I also liked the take on the anti-superheroes from what was the name of that fucking Brightburn. The evil Superman. That was fucking cool. And then it teased another movie, another coming movie at the end of that one. But they never made the other one. That was cool too. I liked it.
I was laughing because Victor said Sixth Sense is sad because he's dead and still going to work.
Yeah.
That is kind of a bummer. Is that movie, I had forgotten how melancholy that movie was. I mean, I liked that about it, but I had forgotten that about it. Mango said Stir of Echoes is an amazing film. I agree. The book is good too. Yeah, I remember. You know what? I saw that in the theater. Me and my friend saw that in the Dollar Theater.
Graham, send it Blu-ray, man. Blu-ray.
We saw that in the Dollar Theater, and we saw it perhaps unwisely at like midnight. And so when we left the theater, there was like nobody, and it was like pitch black, and we were like the only ones in the parking lot. That movie scared the fucking crap out of me the first time I saw it. Stir of Echoes.
I didn't see that one.
It was just so well, yeah, we did because we did a review of it.
Which one was that?
It was the one with Kevin Bacon, and he gets hypnotized by his sister-in-law, and then he starts seeing visions of this girl in his house.
Yeah, I kind of remember.
Like a dead girl in his house. I don't know. Something about it really, really creeped me out. I don't know what it was. There's just something really...
Didn't make a big impression.
The hypnotism scenes in particular, like, really creeped me out. That's even more so than the ghost. Like, the whole shit about, like, with Ileana Douglas, and she's kind of, like, you know, telling him, it's like, picture a theater, and it's all painted black, and, like, fucking the screen, and it says, dig, and it's like, I don't know. That really freaked me out. I don't know why. Weird things freak me out. I don't really know why. I can't.
What was that other Kevin Bacon movie where they were fucking having the near-death experiences? It was pretty Flatliners.
Saw that in the theater as well.
That movie, with the way that movie's filmed, just visually, that's a fucking beautiful movie with all the colors and the stained glass and everything.
Yeah, I'd forgotten how nice that movie looked.
Great movie. Visually, it's a great movie. Story, it's good. It's good.
That's a great. I mean, that's a great concept.
Yeah.
For a movie. We're gonna die and come back to life and tell you what we saw like in the afterlife. That's a great fucking concept.
Yeah.
You gotta admit.
We loved it. We loved it back in the kids. I was living in Trenton at that time. Fucking Gramthars probably saw that fucking around the same time I did.
Thank you, Aaron. Great show. Have an awesome vacation, Jen. Thank you. I'm really looking forward to it. Super excited.
Yep.
Pookie already like jumped into my bag and tried to go with me.
Yeah.
Thank you, J. Peacher. What's up, guys? Love Stir of Echoes. Yeah, me too. I would like 2 of the new Pliskin shirts and with the large logos. What do I need to do? And please tell Aaron happy birthday. You need to message me with your size and your mailing address.
Yeah, and 20 won't cover that.
We need to print 2 shirts tomorrow.
Yeah.
We need to print shirts tomorrow.
Shirts are 20 each. Yeah.
So I'm gonna write that down over there. So just give me your address.
Right.
And we will print one tomorrow if I have one.
Yeah, he wants 2.
I know. I saw that. Okay. You sorted that out right.
Yeah.
But yeah, Stir of Echoes
20
is
each.
Great.
Right.
What was I saying? Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. I was just glad to rewatch Sixth Sense because I was kind of mad at it. Like, I liked it, but I was mad at it because it came out at the same time. Well, I'm behind.
Okay, Victor Garcia sent a $20 chat.
Thank you.
Vacation fund.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll use that to get into like
Yeah.
Ripley's museum or something. I got a whole list of like I'm going to all the museums. I'm going to Alligator Farm. Going to all that shit.
And, I don't know if we said that.
What?
Fucking Jay Preachers asked us to tell Aaron E. happy birthday. Happy birthday, Aaron E.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
I liked Kevin Bacon film where he was a bike messenger. Oh, what was that one? I remember that.
Okay, Jay Preacher sent
another
$20. Okay, thank you very much. We'll send you
to.
Just give us the mailing address and the
sizes.
And the sizes that you want.
Yeah, you can message me on Facebook or Instagram or wherever.
Okay.
At least by tomorrow, because we're gonna print shirts tomorrow, so and hopefully get them sent out tomorrow as well.
Yeah, Gramthars says Kevin Bacon was in Flatliners and Keither Sutherland. Keither was in 24th Maryland. Tom is the only 2.
Hey, that's right. You're only 2 degrees of Kevin Bacon separation.
Yeah. For those of you guys who don't know, fucking Marilyn was my ex-girlfriend. Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, Marilyn Rice Cup from 24.
True.
Yeah.
Quicksilver, that was the name of it. Yeah. Thank you, Louie. Man, Louie knows everything.
Matter of fact, I post up pictures on fucking Instagram all the time of Jenny fucking dancing with her big boobs, and fucking Marilyn likes them. She's awesome. Fucking yeah.
I am awesome.
Yeah.
Unless you were talking about Maryland.
No.
I don't know.
You were awesome.
Okay. I don't know. Yeah, only 2 degrees of. I don't know. I don't know anybody that knows Kevin Bacon. I don't know how many degrees of separation I am. Thank you, Victor.
$8 more because Alligator Farm tickets are $28. Thank you very much.
Oh, are they? Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much.
I haven't checked in a long time. I haven't been
it's
to
a good thing we continued to fucking stream. All of a sudden, the money's just falling away. You're gonna be a rich woman, Jenny. Yeah, David June sent $20 because everyone else is donating. Another $2. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's just Well, like I said, it was nice to just do one case, and I'm glad I got it kind of covered. and then we can talk about other shit. So
Yeah.
hopefully nobody comes in late and be like, why you guys
Then why are you gonna tell them about this shit? Yeah.
I just have, well, that's another reason that I like live streams is you're not going to get like randos like wandering in here necessarily. Because I don't wander into people's live streams thinking about a certain thing. What are you doing? You posing?
Huh?
You were going like,
No, I'm fucking.
Kevin Bacon was in Animal House. Was he? He was in Animal House?
Must have been a little kid.
Shit, man. I haven't seen that movie in so long. First time I remember seeing Kevin Bacon was in fucking Friday the 13th Part 2. Getting stabbed through the neck just like in Bay of Blood. What's the matter with you?
What do you think's wrong with me?
I don't know.
Alcohol.
Oh
Alcohol is getting fucking hot, man.
my God, handle it.
Getting fucking hot.
Victor says, we want Jenny to have a good vacation. She deserves it. Thank you. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to have a good fucking time. I'm going to eat everywhere. I'm going to eat everything. I'm going to go see alligators. Go look at some pirates. Go look at some art. Go look at some medieval torture.
Unwind.
Shit.
Get out of the house. Go have fun.
Yeah. I haven't done that in a long time.
She's been in this fucking office for fucking 5 years.
Pretty much.
Yeah. You ought to make this a yearly thing or something. Just get the fuck out of here, man.
Yeah, I probably should.
Yeah. You staying in the house too much.
I mean, the thing about it, I get kind of, I don't know, it's weird because I kind of get, oh, I got to finish this. Oh, I got to finish that. Like I said, I wanted to finish the cookbook before. I was working on the cookbook today. Honestly, it's done except for the cover. I want to tweak the cover and the back cover. I got to do the back cover.
Is just the regularity of all the fucking streamings and all the fucking shows. I mean, even every show takes a break. We ran this shit solid for how many years? 2 years?
Yeah.
3 years? 2 years? Yeah, you have to take a season break.
Yeah.
All right, that's even if it's only a week or so. We can pre-record stuff.
Well, that's
So
what we did this time. Well,
Right, yeah.
and I think that this week, and that's why I'm like super tired this week because
we pre-recorded a bunch of stuff.
Well, yeah. Well, because here's the thing. This is how like fucking I don't know what this says about me. But I was like, well, I don't want people to have like nothing to watch.
Yeah.
From us, like for a whole week while I'm gone. So we recorded a show for every single day.
Well, plus the ad revenue. Plus the ad revenue.
That too.
Got to get that
ad
ad
revenue. So we
revenue.
recorded a whole bunch of movie reviews.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of movie reviews and just all kind of shit. I did a book review. I did some like a whole bunch of shit. So we have something going up every day, even though we're not live streaming. So it'll almost be like I'm not even gone.
Yep. CT says that's smart.
Well, like I said, I didn't want it just there to be a big gap and like everybody being like, because, you know, I know we like to hang out with you guys. You guys like to hang out with us. And I didn't want to just like leave everybody hanging.
For some reason, that comment disappeared. Fucking.
Which one?
I guess, she retracted it because she misspelled it. Okay.
Well, that's what I mean. Sometimes people retract their own message because they.
I was like, why the hell did that one fucking disappear? Thought the algorithm, thought that algorithm was coming after. They're like, fucking Tom's giving up all these damn national secrets and fucking talking about the fucking, you know what I mean? The inner machinations of the intelligence agencies. We gotta fucking get rid of all these goddamn comments. Say,
thank you, Aaron. More money for the vacation and the cookbook to be finished. I swear to God, I'm taking my laptop with me.
Thank you, Aaron.
And even though I'm on vacation, I might finish the cover anyway. Because that's like fun. You know what I mean? So it's that's
you
fun.
can find a cafe and do that in a cafe.
Well, there's Wi-Fi where I'm staying.
Okay.
I'm staying at an Airbnb, but there's Wi-Fi.
All right.
So I should be all right.
I'm going to go to the restroom. Hold on a second.
You know what? I went out for my hike this morning.
Yeah.
And I saw Mr. McGuire. And I didn't know how to tell him that I was going to be gone for a week. So I was kind of like, man, stay frosty, dude. It's like, hopefully some other people like bring you some food and, comb your hair and stuff. Because I'm not going to be here. Because I feel like I don't know. Maybe he does that to other people too, but he always seems really excited to see me. And now he jumps up on the bench and like sits next to me and chills out, which I think is really funny. But he seems a lot better. Like I was petting him this morning. His wound on the side is all healed up. Somebody cut all the mats out of his fur. I don't know who did it. But they're gone now. And like I said, the little wound where the cut was, that's pretty much healed up. And I feel like today I was like petting him and he seems like he's gained some weight. Because remember I was saying earlier that when I was petting him, he seemed really bony. And that was kind of worrying me. So that's why one of the reasons I kept bringing him food. And I bring him like a whole bunch of food like every day in a little baggie. And a couple other people have told me, yeah, we bring him food too because we thought he was too skinny. So there's like at least 2 or 3 other people that bring him food. So he seems like he's taken care of. But I was petting him today and he's still thin, but I don't feel bones anymore. So I definitely feel like he's gained some weight. He looks a lot healthier, especially all that hair mat's going now. Yeah, Scott says Pookie's gonna miss you. I know. I know. It's like bumming me out. Pookie came in my office earlier and jumped up on my desk and she's like, hey, I'm gonna sit on your laptops, whatever, when you're trying to work. And I was like, whatever. And she jumps up on my desk and then she wants to headbutt. Like she jumps up and she's just like, headbutt. So I headbutt her. And I was telling her, I was like, I'm gonna be gone next week, but I'm gonna be back. It's like you be good for daddy.
He's telling cat stories.
Yeah. Okay. And Pookie's like, I don't know if she knew what I was talking about, but
yeah.
I'm gonna miss her too. Well, I told Tom, I said, well, I could Skype her, I guess.
You gonna Skype who?
Pookie.
Oh, you gonna Skype Pookie?
Yeah.
You gonna Skype Pookie.
Yeah, Jenny, have Tom give you face chat with Pookie while you're gone. See, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I was just like, show me Pookie. Where's she at?
You're not gonna be gone that long. Pookie will fucking like, what the hell happened? Because when I left, she was like, what the hell happened? But I was gone for 2 weeks.
Yeah, you were gone for 2
And
weeks.
she was a baby. When I came back, she didn't recognize me. It took her a few minutes.
She still acted real weird when you left, though.
She was like, oh, I remember this dude. And she came around. Yeah.
That was super funny.
That was funny. I said, Pookie, what's up? And she's like,
Who are you?
Oh,
yeah, that's right.
I remember you.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, because like I said, probably the first 3 or 4 days you were gone,
Yeah.
she was like weirded out. Like she would jump up on the bed.
Yeah.
And then she kept like looking at me like she'd jump up on your side of the bed and she'd be like,
Yeah.
And she'd be like kind of making weird noises and like looking at me and I'd be like, yeah, I'll be back soon. It's okay. And she's just like, what's happening? Where's daddy? But then after a couple days, she forgot. But then when you came back, she was just kind of like, who's this motherfucker? Oh, yeah, it's you.
All right. Looks like some people are dropping off. Do you guys want to end the show? How long have we been doing this?
Let's find out. I can't see it. 3 hours and 47 minutes. 3 hours and 47
Unless you guys...
Not as long as I thought, actually.
No. Unless you guys want to talk about something else, it's probably about time for us to go ahead and fucking skedaddle out of here.
Victor says, gather up some of Pookie's fur, mold it into a little cat shape, and put it in your purse.
That's ridiculous.
Well, you know what's funny about that? Is the other day she was in here in my office, and I had my grooming glove. Yeah. So I was grooming her, and I pulled like a shit ton of hair out. I was like, holy crap. And I held it up to her. There was like a little ball. Yeah. Look at this, Pookie. I said, this is your hair. I said, I could make another mini Pookie out of this. Yeah. So I told her I could make another Pookie. But then I said, not really, because she's one of a kind. That's what I told her.
Okay, shut it down, Jenny.
You sure?
It's about time. People are leaving.
Yeah. Like, oh my God, they're talking about cats forever.
Yeah, like, we gotta go. They can't talk about cats forever. Yeah.
What are you talking about? Sure, I can.
Okay.
But, yeah, so, all right. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this rambling live stream. At least we got through the entire case before we started talking about bullshit.
It was a good show.
Dude, I got a mosquito bite on my elbow, and it's like fucking really bothering me. I don't know what it was. All right, so anyway, I'm not going to say I'm going to see you Sunday because I'm not. I mean, I will, but it'll be on video. We recorded a whole bunch of shit ahead of time, so there'll be lots of fun shit for you to watch, mostly movie reviews and a couple of book reviews and some other shit. I will be back for next Friday's show. Next Friday's show, we're just going to talk about goth shit. Goth culture. The history of goth culture. Because like I said, I wanted to do a topic that I didn't have to research while I was gone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I just want something I can talk about off the cuff. So that's what we're going to do next Friday. But I will be back because I'm coming back next Friday at early afternoon, probably. So I'll be back by then. So everybody have a good week. I'm going to have a good time. You're going to have a good time. We're all going to have a good time. Man, I'm so drunk. Let's go watch.
I noticed you. I noticed.
Go watch some river monsters. God damn it!
It's 10 o'clock. You'll fucking hit the. You'll lay down and go to sleep. Probably.
Well, no, I still got like a lot of liquor left to drink, and then I'll fall asleep.
Yeah. No, for real, T. For real, T. You need to see fucking river monsters. Okay, you and your old man will like that one, and you also got to see Hannibal Rising. If you like fucking Hannibal Lecter movies, that for me that was the best one. I actually visually like that movie better than Silence of the Lambs. It's a good movie.
I don't know. I still like Silence of the Lambs best.
No, Silence of the Lambs is a good movie. Don't you fighting with me? You fighting and arguing? I said that shit was awesome. It was. They're both awesome. They're just different. When Hannibal Rising,
he's getting all testy.
I'm getting testy. When Hannibal Rising came out, they said we got to have a badass fucking origin story. And they kind of did it like a Batman origin story, but it was a period piece happening in the 40s, and it was badass. It was very accurate, and it's all European production. It's not Hollywood. It's really good. It's like a super good indie flick. When they showed up in that damn Soviet T-34 tank, and I go, man, it's got a bicycle strapped to the side of the turret. I went, these dudes did their fucking homework. I mean, that was the real thing. That's the way that tank looked. And yes, they did carry bicycles on the fucking side of the damn tank.
Because why wouldn't you?
Well, you got to go get some bread. You got to get milk and cigarettes.
That's what I mean.
Are you going to take this? You going to take the tank? No, they rode a bicycle.
Yeah, you can't park that shit in front of the 7-Eleven.
Yeah, you can't park that shit in front of the 7-Eleven. They fucking park the shit, fucking do their mission. We're going to be here for a couple of days. Hold on, we'll go get some cigarettes. And they get on a fucking bicycle.
Well, yeah.
So they knew exactly what they were doing.
And bikes don't weigh anything, and they're very small. So
no. Yep.
All right, everybody. Have a good weekend. Have a good week. I will see you guys next Friday. Bye.